And there we go. Hey, everybody. It's good to see you here on this fine Monday night for another Carnivore Talk roundtable discussion. And of course, we want to encourage all of you who are interested in participating not only in the chat, but you can join us on screen right here with Jeff and I using your own device and your own camera and your own microphone. All you have to do is click the link that I've pasted to the top of the chat if you're on YouTube. And if you are watching from Facebook and Twitter or X, I think I'll always call that Twitter. I'm going to paste the link again right now. So that should go through to you. And you'll be able to join us live. And you can also join us by registering over in Carnivore Talk, and in our private members only area, there's the link that's there all the time. And if it ever changes, that's where we're going to update it. So we want to say hello to Jeff. How are you doing today, Jeff?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing just fine. I tried something new today. I got to look up the ingredients to see how clean it is. So I don't know how clean it is. So my wife saw them and thought of me because she loves me and she's a sweetheart. But Arby's has these things called steak nuggets now. And so she brought me home a couple order of steak nuggets, and they tasted like steak. They looked like steak. You could tell they were marinated in something though, but like almost like they were in a crock pot in some broth, So I had those for dinner today. They were okay. It still resembled fast food. But it's kind of nice to have another option out there. Although I do have to look at it. I want to see what's actually in it. I don't know that yet, but
I wonder how much seed oil's in that.
So I could tell it was marinated in something. So
I'll bet you.
Yeah. So the marinade may have had some seed oil in it. We'll see.
Yeah, but how do you feel though?
I feel fine, but I don't have any reaction to seed oils ever. So for me, it's okay. And
for me, I'd be running to the bathroom.
Yeah, not for a trace amount. I know McDonald's is, that's clean, seed oil free, but I've heard that Wendy's will coat their grill in seed oils before they throw their burger patties on it. So you might get a trace at Wendy's too. But again, I don't have any issues. So, but I don't go out of my way to have seed oils. Occasionally, I go out once or twice a month, and if I happen to have a salad, I might have ranch, and I know I'm getting seed oils there, but that's just once in a while. So, but it's
Jeff,
a lot better than what I used to be.
Jeff, is that a real background
for me?
For Jeff?
Yeah, for Jeff. Oh,
wow. Is that your tool shed?
Yeah.
Wow, nice. Very organized.
Yeah, I'm in my shop.
So you moved, but you moved your shop to be that organized already so soon after moving in. It's very impressive.
You're seeing 1/10 of it. I would be ashamed to show you the rest of it. It's still full of boxes and things ain't organized. I just now got my shelves up. It's still a slow process. The priority is getting the house together right now. The shop is coming along slowly. I have to work overtime at night to get my shop in shape, but it's coming along.
How far along is the house?
We're doing some remodeling. I'm fixing to tear out a bathroom, remodel bathroom, and then we've been, getting stuff hung on the walls and whatnot, still unpacking some boxes from the house, but it's getting there. It's just going to take time, because, we got all the outside work to do too. I've been mowing pastures,
You must be happy that all the move is done and at least everything's there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We're just, what I say is we're into the hard part now, figuring out where everything's going to go. And we started breaking ground 2 days ago on our roping arena. So,
good.
It's just, you do a little bit here, you do a little bit there.
You must be happy to be back out in the wild again.
Well, yeah. I've always pretty much, except for when I was a kid, I've pretty much always lived out in the country. You know,
Yeah, but
I have two rules.
Where you were before,
Pardon?
though, you were telling me that everything was encroaching in on you.
Yeah, exactly. That's happened to me twice. Well,
So
actually, three times if you count when I was a kid.
So now you're back out in the wild again. You know what I mean? Like you're out there
Yeah.
again. Yeah.
Yeah, my property here is an island. I'm surrounded by county roads, and nobody can ever encroach on me.
Really?
I don't have any. Yeah, I don't have any neighbors. On each side of one of my fences, you know, I got 4 fences surrounding my property. On each side of one of my fences is a road, county road. Well, except for the front, and that's a state highway. But nobody can encroach on me now.
Wow.
So how have you been, Peter? How's your week been?
Well, I just got, I don't know if you are going to be able to see this, but I'm going to show you. I just got this in the mail. Can you read what that says?
Yeah, the Kilts Health Digest, a magazine for primal health and something living.
And fertile living. Mm-hmm. And I'm going through it. Alia sent it to me, his assistant. And I'm reading and I'm looking in here. And what do I see?
You have a success story. Before and after. I'm not going to be able to see that too much.
Hold on. Can you see the before and after pictures?
I see a chicken. It looks like a chicken nugget on a fork. That's what I see.
Oh, hold on. There.
Okay. Yes, I see the before and after pictures. Would that be you?
The before is that big fat guy.
Uh-huh.
And the after is that skinny guy.
All right. Very nice.
So yeah, I'm the featured story in the magazine.
All right, that's awesome. Where could we get our hands on a copy of that magazine?
I have no effing idea. This is issue number 1 ever.
Issue number 1.
Issue 1, it's the fall edition. I think if you go to kiltsmightytribe.com, kiltsmightytribe.com, you can get more information about how to get it. They may even have a digital version of it posted online.
All right, we'll have to check into that.
So that's the big news. And then I think I told you guys, Dave Mack had my follow-up interview. Did you guys see that? It was on I guess I did that a week or 2 ago.
I haven't been able to watch that one yet. Not myself.
So if you get a chance, look for my picture in the thumbnail. You know what I look like. So It's not that far back.
Okay. And that would be a second interview then?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Very nice. So that always, it reminds me, I need to reach out to him again. So I had one scheduled, and then
you guys know I'm a moderator on Kilt's Mighty, the Kilt Show at 6 a.m. And also on Old Guy Carnivore, Mitch, at 7 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what's new with me. I mean, as far as that goes.
All right. Well, that's pretty exciting to be featured in the magazine like that. That's pretty cool. How about you, Paul? How are you doing?
Doing all right. Somebody canceled an appointment on Friday, so I got to see an endocrinologist on Friday. And very cool guy, about almost 40. He no qualms at all about carnivore diet, none whatsoever. Matter of fact, another endocrinologist who works with him in the same practice, who I'd seen like 3 years ago, and at that time was pre-diabetic, he went carnivore.
No shit.
Yeah. And this is the guy who it was like 4 years and a month or 2 ago. It was very early in September. I got very lucky to see this guy so quickly. And anyhow, he mentioned to me he was eating 20 or 30 carbs a day. That's all he said, And that started my whole journey on the whole low carb, no carb thing. I mean, I went home and I Googled 20 carbs a day, and of course all the keto stuff and Ken Berry and all that stuff showed up. And, the next year I went from, I was probably eating 300 carbs a day, somewhere around that. I don't know. And then, the 6 meals a day. And but I didn't have, all that garbage. And,
when did you convert?
but anyhow, blood sugar's doing really.
I was just going to say, how long ago did you start carnivore?
I've been carnivore for about 3 years. Keto 14 months before that.
Okay.
But I kind of made a resolution about August 24th, 23rd. I said, no carbs ever again. So, depending on who you believe or what you want to, there's supposedly half a carb or 6/10 of a carb in an egg. And there's maybe 2 carbs in a cup of coffee.
There is.
You know what? None of that counts.
Yeah, you can't really.
None of that counts.
You're right, exactly. So I'm basically a 0 carb eater.
Yeah.
And, it's really miraculous because you look at the CGM reports and this endocrinologist, he was kind of astounded. He goes, you're in the top 1% of all my patients. He says, you're doing really well. And I've had to cut back. My biggest thing now is I'm going too low. And so I'm every day I'm cutting back my insulin every day.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot, 2 units usually every day. And
that's progress.
And then I'm totally off the fast acting insulin. And I wasn't taking much of that, always less than 15 units a day. Yeah, remember, I'm not eating any carbs and I still needed fast acting insulin. That's, so the progress in just the last, I just ended 6 weeks of, really being super serious. And my taste has changed. I don't get the satisfaction from a donut or a cupcake or anything like that anymore. As a matter of fact, it doesn't even taste good anymore.
I can't stand them.
It doesn't match my imagination or my memory at all.
You've broken that sugar
so why
addiction.
Eat it? I haven't gotten to the point that I can't. Yeah, I finally, maybe after all these years, I've finally broken the sugar addiction. But it's just like an alcoholic; you can't go back. You just, it just ruins you.
It doesn't taste the same.
No, it doesn't. It just, and I remember an article sometime along the 30 years I was diabetic, and they were talking about when you got a low blood sugar, is it a treat or a treatment?
Well, you know what they say, Paul? Nothing tastes as good as healthy feels.
Yeah, you got that, and I try not to make it too complicated. And, but, a lot of people just don't understand. And I didn't know, but India is now the most populous country in the world. They went way past China.
It's also the highest rate of diabetes.
Yeah, 400. Right, 400 million. 400 million. And you know what? This is what I hear. They can't grow enough food to feed themselves, so they buy corn and wheat from us.
Right.
They don't like it.
I also heard that
so they had sugar too.
of the population there is vegetarian. So not only are they sick, they're vegetarian sick also.
Well,
so yeah,
I know a few Indians, here in America, and I think I want to say almost all of them are either full vegetarian or eat very little meat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that will, because it's cultural, so that makes sense. Yeah,
and whatever meat they do eat, it's like that lean chicken breast or a little fish, which none of it has any fat in it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I'm going to go over and try and catch up in the chat for a little bit, say hi to some individuals. So Granny Boo comes in first place with the first comment. Hello from Oklahoma. Hello, right back at you from Ohio. And of course, Paul, who's on screen, is from Pennsylvania. And, his comment here, how long did that sugar diet last?
About 5 seconds.
Our
5
theme for
seconds.
tonight is fad
Yep.
diets. And so the sugar diet was, now that's a fad diet because it's already come and gone. It's long gone. Yep. That's
You
a
want to
fad
hear
diet.
something funny though?
We'll
I'll
talk
tell you
about
something.
carnivore later and whether carnivore is a fad diet. We'll get to that discussion here in a little bit.
But Bob, you want to hear something funny?
What's
I was
that?
watching Kelly Hogan. You know Kelly Hogan, right?
Yes.
And she had on 2 very popular carnivore people. One of them was Courtney Luna, who writes the carnivore cookbooks.
Right.
She's pretty popular.
Mhm.
Okay. She tried that. I don't know why. She just wanted to try it. And it threw her off. Like it just effed her up.
Yeah.
Okay. So bad that she literally fell off the wagon for like a month or more. Okay. I mean, really bad. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it wasn't like she just tried it and then she stopped. She couldn't get back, over to carnivore. And in fact, she's back to keto because she can't get back to the she's having trouble getting back.
You're struggling to get back on track. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Of
Yeah.
course.
And then
when
there's
you're
another.
addicted to something, you can't just you can't go back to it. Period. You have to stay away from it. You have to abstain. That's all there is to it.
Jeff, you heard about my infamous chocolate bar incident, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
So about maybe a year ago, right? Went over to my mom's house, had dinner, and after dinner, she said, "Oh, do you want some? Chocolate is like my kryptonite. So are cookies, like cookies, muffins, all that stuff." So she goes, "Oh, you want to? I have some dark chocolate with almonds. That's like my favorite, right?" And I'm like, "No, I can't, Mom. Oh, just try a little bit." She did the whole, guilt deal on me, right? I said, "Okay, you know what? To get her off my back, I'll just have one square. Those little squares, the bars divvied up into squares." So I ate one square. And I said, I'll just have one more square. Before the night was over, not only did I eat the whole jumbo, gigantic, this thing was like big. I ate the whole bar. And then I'm rummaging through her pantry looking for more chocolate bars.
Yep.
Okay. This is the behavior of an addict. Now, did it
Yep.
stop there? Did it stop there? Oh, no. I went the next day. I went on the way home from work. I went to Aldi, which is where I used to get my dark chocolate and almonds, right? They have it so good. And I bought 2 of those bars every day for a week and ate 2 bars, 2 of them big bars. They're big.
Huh.
Okay. For a week. I finally said, "What the hell's going on?" I like caught myself and I literally cold turkeyed off of it, Jeff.
Oh.
And I mean, for like another at least week or two after
Revoke his card immediately.
Like even after I cold turkeyed, I was jonesing.
Yeah.
for that chocolate fix. Okay, until I could get my body get all of that out of me. It took 2 weeks, of complete abstinence until I stopped thinking about the damn chocolate bar. So I don't know, whatever your drug of choice is or your food of choice is, mine is cookies. Now at work, where I am, there's a cafe in the furniture store called the KC Cafe. They bake fresh baked cookies every day. And the smell is just wafts through it's like crack to me. Because I mean, cookies, and I know if I eat one, Jeff, if I eat one, I'm done. And I've been there now for 3 weeks, my new job. I have not had one cookie. Because I know.
Good for you.
I know what's going to happen. Because if I have one, I'll have 100. I'll have them every day. I'll have 5 to 10 of them a day.
That's where I always like to say, forget the mistake, but remember the lesson. You're remembering the lesson, and that's what's important.
And I forgot to mention one other thing. They're free. The cookies are unlimited free to any employee or any customer. they're free. That makes it worse.
Yeah.
Makes it worse.
So we want to say hi to George Goodenough over there in the UK.
Wow, I can't believe he's still up.
He's still up. Yeah, he's trying to adjust his schedule, so he's
Oh.
pretty much alive and awake as long same time as us Eastern time zone individuals here.
Oh, I
And
just
we have
wanna,
Dr. Nelson is watching and commenting in the chat. So welcome, Dr.
I
Nelson.
just want to
Hey,
shout
you didn't even
out.
have to go.
I wanted to shout out George. George has been alcohol free for I think it's something like 100.
Yeah, because it's economical. You're thinking, what a deal! I can't refuse this.
Yeah.
I think he's got some lag. he's still thinking
he's
about.
got but I was going to say George has been alcohol free, and
Uh-huh.
he admits he really had a major alcohol problem for years. He's been off alcohol for 100 and something days, I think.
Awesome. Yeah, that's very good. So I know my drinking, I used to drink all the time. I hardly ever drink anymore. I might drink on average once every 2 to 3 months, and that's just a little something here and there. So Sandy Blythe is in the house, and so is Charger Mopar Rick. He's dealing with a stubborn bobcat, but not the kind you would hunt and eat. He's probably talking about a tractor that he works with. Brisket Boomers, good to see you here. And George Goodenough makes a good comment. Fad diet? Steak's been around a long time. The first McDonald's appeared in the UK about 1976. I think it's been around in the 30s here in the United States, if I recall. But yeah, steak. There we go. That gets us back to our topic about a fad diet. So the definition of a fad diet, if you were to go look it up, this is what the quote unquote experts say. As a fad diet would promise rapid and dramatic weight loss, cuts out massive, large food groups, is restrictive, and lacks scientific backing, sounds good to be true. And mainstream health individuals will make those claims about the carnivore diet, but the problem is they're all false. So mankind has been eating steak for a long time, as long as we've been drinking water and breathing air, as the saying goes. And so you can't call that a fad. And then scientific backing, we've got tons of people, millions now probably, and testimonies that we can see how people have benefited by changing their diets. And it's not even really nothing new. You think of a fad, you think like the sugar diet, that was a fad, came a couple months ago, gone already. But ketogenic diets and even carnivore diets, you can trace their modern movement back to the 1700s. And then, of course, you can trace their ancestral origins all the way back to the beginning of mankind. So is the
back when they were using nutrition instead of for medicine.
What's that?
Back when they were using nutrition for medicine.
But think about it.
When they used it to treat epilepsy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You were going to say, Paul?
Most of us were probably all sick at one time or another. I say most of us were sick at one time or another, and then we discovered carnivore, and we got better. But you were sick. I was sick for a long time. So let's just say you go back 20 years. If somebody sat me down and told me about carnivore and no carbs, okay, would have I been smart enough to listen? I don't know.
Probably not.
That's the question we'll never know,
I believe
Not like it is now.
In my case, I believe that I wasn't ready for it until I was desperate for it. And I think that's why a lot of people come to this, because I didn't come for weight loss. Weight loss was just a sideline benefit. I came because I was sick. I was in bad shape. I was waiting to die. Yeah, is the way I put it. And I came here because I was desperate. And I think those that have the most to gain from it are the ones who benefit the most from it, both in success and in health. At least that's what I've noticed so far. Now, I will I will give them one thing on carnivore diet when it comes to a fad diet. It does seem too good to be true. There's no doubt about that. Until you get into it and you find out that it's even more unbelievable once you see what all it does, because you find things healing that you didn't know were sick. That's the wild thing about it, because I came into it, because of a heart condition and bowel conditions. And then I saw, pain being alleviated. I saw dandruff disappearing, it was fixing everything that was wrong with me. And I would just wake up one day and realize, hey, it's been a long time since I felt this. What happened? Well, I was being cured, metabolically fixed. It does seem too much to be true, but it's true. It works. That's all there is to it.
Yes, indeed. So yeah, and that's why I came to it also, is, it was either I needed a some sort of intervention, some sort of miracle, because I had reached that point in my health and my life, and that's when I learned about carnivore, and I was desperate enough to give it a try, even though it sounded initially irrational to me. But then as I studied it, it sounded more rational and more rational. I realized it actually made a lot of logical sense. And so when I put it into practice and then experienced the benefits, I was sold. Absolutely sold.
It seems irrational due to our brainwashing.
Right, exactly.
Because we've all been brainwashed since the very beginning of our lives to believe that this is how we're supposed to do it, and we're supposed to follow these people because they're the experts and they know everything. Only to find out later on that they really don't know that much, and they're just magpieing what they were told. And nobody really knows unless they do the research, and those that do the research find out the truth.
Prior to carnivore and the modern carnivore doctors that I've learned from, my diet messiah, so to speak, was actually Dr. Atkins. I had read his book. His book was like the gospel to me as far as healthy eating goes, but he did advocate for a lot of vegetation. He had no qualms about mayonnaise or seed oils or anything like that, because we just didn't know about those back then in the 90s.
No. And he didn't
so
push
would I have
fat over
adopted
protein.
carnivore? Would I have done carnivore in the 90s? No, I wouldn't have.
No.
So, and it wasn't until, I'm sure, the information and the internet and YouTube, so once all that became available at our fingertips, one of the only good things about the World Wide Web is that we actually got good information that way. I usually joke around and call the internet the misinformation superhighway, because there's a lot of garbage online, but this stuff was actually true blue, and people all over the world see their health benefit dramatically, and they lose weight. And carnivore has definitely been life-saving for so many people. So how can you not tell others about it, when you've experienced the benefits from it and you've seen other people heal their maladies from applying it as well?
Well, I started carnivore for one reason and one reason only. It had nothing to do with weight, although I was very morbidly obese. It was being diagnosed as a type 2 diabetic. Okay. And that scared the living daylights out of me, because my late father-in-law ended up as a double amputee, no legs, 5 fingers gone, in a wheelchair, on dialysis 7 years, 24/7 pain, nearly blind from end-stage diabetes. It was a 7-8 year journey into hell. Diabetes is no joke. And I remember, that horrible experience. And I said, man, that is no way it's going to be me. And I'm going to figure this out. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I just told my doctor, I'm going to try diet, exercise. Give me 6 months before we go on medicine, and I'm going to figure something out. And I went to the internet, YouTube, typed in 2 words, reverse diabetes. And what did I find? Dr. Barry, which is his very famous video, that same one Kerry Mann saw. Same one, our first video, both of us. And he talked about keto. It had nothing to do with carnivore, guys. And I started keto that day, dirty keto treats, whatever, but I did take out the seed oils, took out the bread, I was still doing berries. I still was doing the dark chocolate. I still, the keto bars. I mean, whatever. But at least I still had vegetables and stuff like that. But I was doing fatty meat and eggs. A lot of bacon.
Yeah.
And then as I started watching Dr. Berry more and more, and found all the others usual suspects on YouTube. I found this I think it was Dave Mack interviewing carnivores. And I'm like, what is this? He's interviewing people about carnivore. And I started getting binge watching as I did my morning walks. I started doing these walks and I would listen to all these carnivore interviews with Dave Mack. And, I just said, you know what? I really don't like vegetables. Why am I forcing myself to eat these freaking vegetables that I hate? I don't like them. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when I was a kid, I couldn't stand vegetables. All I wanted the meat. I wanted the bacon and eggs and sausage. And I love breakfast. Breakfast was my favorite meal of the day. And I loved my meat, my chicken, my pork, my steak, my burgers, hot dogs. And it was like this diet was made for me. This diet is absolutely made for someone like me. And I just took out the vegetables.
I'm with you. I say I became a carnivore, a little bit over 2 years ago. Basically, I was born a carnivore. I've always preferred meat. I've always hated vegetables.
But you ate them because you thought they were healthy.
I learned to eat them. I never did like them, but I learned to put enough junk on them to make them palatable. And what did I put on them? Cheese, seed oils, lots of seasoning. I covered up the taste of it. When I was a kid, man, I was always feeding our dachshund veggies under the table and she'd eat them. I got out of eating vegetables every chance I got. So when this came along, it gave me the excuse to say, hey, I don't have to eat vegetables anymore. And to be honest, I was growing a pretty nice garden too. I gave away all my gardening equipment, gave away everything when I went to this.
Yeah. And so when I was growing up, my parents were the way they raised me was you can't leave the table until you've cleaned everything off your plate. So right. I actually acquired a taste for all kinds of stuff. And there's very little, believe it or not, there's very little that I think tastes bad. Like I can eat most anything. So for me, it wasn't difficult to divorce myself from vegetables, but for a while I did miss it. Now on the strange occasion, on the rare occasion that I go back and have some, usually it causes me some major gut distress. So for example, there was a few weeks ago, we went to Applebee's and I got the steak and shrimp sirloin, and usually I get a side of broccoli. That doesn't bother me. But they were out. So I said, well, and I refused to eat a potato because it's high carbohydrate and starch. So I said, well, I'll take the green beans. So I ate the green beans. Man, I was making so much gas that I probably could have floated away. It was horrible. And I'm like, I can't believe this. And it's not like they give you a large portion, but man, it messed my stomach up. Not only that, the rest of that evening, but the following day also, as it just was fermenting in my gut. Terrible. So I'm like, I'll never want to eat green beans again. I like the taste, but I don't like the after effects. And I've found that anytime I deviate from carnivore and consume some plant matter in the form of vegetables, okay, it doesn't happen in the form of fruits, but in the form of vegetables, usually it goes right through me. Rapid fire. Like like within 30 minutes of eating, I have to run to the bathroom. Only if I have some sort of vegetation, some sort of vegetable matter. And I was never like that before. Now I'm so sensitive to it that I don't even want it anymore.
Wow.
Yeah. Here's a comment here I wanted to catch up on. So I mentioned the Arby's steak nuggets earlier. Dr. Nelson says that the Arby's steak nuggets are primarily made of beef, which we would expect, water, salt, and a blend of seasonings. So the seasonings include garlic, pepper, cornstarch, dextrose, and soybean oil. So there's going to be, so it's not clean. It's probably just a trace amount of those things. So if you are a strict carnivore that wants to avoid those things altogether, then Arby's steak nuggets are not going to be for you. If you are the okay with a little bit of seasoning type carnivore, then this is probably a good option for you. So it's nice to have something else available. So
let me tell you what I had for dinner. It was 3 ingredients. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
It was a a gigantic monster size, probably about a 2-pound porterhouse steak.
Mhm.
Okay. And then the second ingredient was Malden's smoked sea salt. The
I've
third
had the
ingredient,
I haven't had the
third
smoked version.
ingredient was cold grass-fed butter chunks on the
Mhm.
side. And then I had a knife and a fork and a
Mhm.
plate.
Yep.
That was my dinner.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds delicious. So I should eat over at your place. That sounds absolutely delicious.
I got to tell you, when I eat like that, guys, my gut is perfect. It
Mhm.
is so funny when you eat just meat, salt, eggs, whatever, just clean carnivore, like clean. Man, it is like magic. It is magic. And the more beef I eat, the better I feel. I mean, I don't mind eating chicken and pork because right now beef is expensive, but I feel my best on beef, like steak.
So do I. And here's another thing I notice is I can eat fatty red meat and
Yeah.
I'm the same weight. But if I eat fatty fish or if I eat chicken, even if it's the chicken legs, I will actually gain weight. So I
Yeah.
gain weight on fish and poultry,
Yeah.
which are leaner, but
Yeah.
I can gorge myself on fatty red meat and I will maintain the same
Well,
weight. It doesn't
there's
impact me one bit.
a simple, very simple explanation. If you watch Dr. Kiltz, he'll tell you when you eat lean protein, right?
Right.
What your body does is something called gluconeogenesis.
Yep.
Okay. And so your body will convert all that excess high protein to sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's going to go to your liver. And where's it going to go? It's going to get stored as fat.
Right.
So,
and part of that's because of the absence of fat. So you can
Yeah.
you can offset that if you eat fatty fish and you eat chicken breast. You got to accompany it with bacon or butter or something, and
gotta butter-
you can avoid some of that
you
gluconeogenesis by
got
getting
to, that's
fat.
why if I ever have fish, if I
Mhm.
ever eat chicken, I am loading it up with lots of cold butter. Like I like
Yeah.
cold butter. I don't know.
I can't eat chicken without drowning it in butter.
Yeah, me too.
All right, Shannon Bedard's in the house. Good to see you here, and we got Bill Cook and Main Runner. I think we said hi earlier. And Terry Sue says Peter being in the magazine is so cool. And Dr. Nelson says, yes, the link is in the Kilt's Mighty Tribe.
Yeah, I told you. I knew it was in there. If you go to kiltsmightytribe.com,
Yeah,
you'll see that first edition.
I don't think it's kiltsmightytribe.com, is it?
kiltsmightytribe.com. Go there now. Do you have a computer, somebody, to see if it's there?
Actually, I can post the link. It's because it's got it's a .mn.co for Mighty Networks. So yeah.
If you could post the link in the chat would be great.
Okay, so here comes the link. That's for Dr. Kiltz's group, and that's where you can find the information for that magazine. So Terry says it's like the first edition of Playboy.
Oh, God.
Is there a way to post the link that takes the link, like the page where the actual magazine is, or no? You can't drill down that far?
I'd have to go looking for it.
Oh, don't worry about it.
Yeah, let's see here. I see Explore. I just see the 2 membership tiers, which I need to sign up for one of those, by the way.
You guys
they're
all
still
need to
50%
sign up.
off.
You guys, everyone watching this, please sign up for kiltsmightytribe.com. Sign up is free. There's no charge. There's so much information in there that it will help you. I promise you. The other thing is Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. Eastern. Go to go to Dr. Kiltz. The channel is Dr. Kiltz, Kiltz, and watch the show. I mean, they have great guest speakers, doctors, all kind of people that will help you. I promise you. And the chat is very interactive, just like on this show, you know, and you're going to learn a lot, and you're going to get the help that you need. I promise you.
Yeah, Kiltz has a good program in the morning for sure. And I'm a member of the Mighty Tribe, so I was there. I'm there every Monday at 5:30. He has just a Zoom call.
Yeah,
And,
I can only make it now on my days off, which is Wednesday, Thursday for the 5:30 Zoom call.
Yeah, the Zoom calls at 5:30 on Monday, and that one's free. There's 2 also paid tiers, but you don't have to join those unless you want to. And there's always a guest. So every Monday there's a guest. And then in the mornings, it's at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
I usually don't make those because I don't get up that early. But I've been on it, and it is I have to catch it on the replay. Same with Mitch. Mitch moved his live stream an hour earlier, so I don't catch it like I used to. I don't catch it live. I have to catch it on the replay. So Target Prime Rib says he's stopping by before laying down for work tomorrow. Glad you could join us. George says the first McDonald's in the UK opened in 1974. The first Bernie Steakhouse opened in 1956. Mrs. Bernie's. They were out in 95 and became the Beefeater. All right. So Sandy says you didn't mention your date.
Oh yeah, I had a date. It was funny. It was at a diner, and we had breakfast, coffee and breakfast. And it's funny. She's seeing a naturopath because she, I guess menopause symptoms, and she's 62. I'm 63, and she has cut out all sugar and gluten, right? And is eating cleaner and stuff. So she's not like, I wouldn't say she's keto fully, but she's trying, to eat cleaner. We talked about seed oils, being bad and processed food. And I said, I told her I'm keto/carnivore, right? And she was like, well, I've heard of keto, but what's carnivore? And I said, well, it's just a little bit more extreme version of keto. Because, I'm not 1,000% carnivore. Once in a while I'll have some pickles or some sauerkraut. You know what I mean? I'm not, whatever. I'm 95%, let's call it, right?
Like me.
And yeah. And I just talked to her, and I said, once in a while I could, if I go to a restaurant, I might have some asparagus or something with my meat. I don't know. I mean, I'm not like, but at home I don't do that. You know what I mean? Like I don't routinely, and she didn't have a problem with it at all. She was very interested in it, but she was nice. She was very sweet, very nice. I think we'll probably go on a second date. We'll see. Who knows? Whatever.
All right. Very nice.
Yeah.
Hi, Aaron.
Oh, I forgot to mention. Hold on. I forgot to mention what we ate. Okay. I had a bacon and provolone cheese 3-egg omelet. I told him, could you please hold the hash browns and hold the toast? And so I just had this big giant omelet, and she did the same thing. She said, I'll have the same. She goes, I'll have the Western omelet or whatever the hell it was, but just the omelet, no hash browns, neither one of us. Isn't that, we had a carnivore and we both drank coffee. Isn't that funny?
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
That was a carnivore date. It really was.
That's good. Yeah. So if that continues to blossom, you'll have support. That's always good. That's always good. It's always good to be on the same page or to have someone be supportive of you. So.
She won't be against it. She's definitely understanding completely, know, and she is looking to try and improve her health, which is a good sign. My ex crazy Russian girlfriend thought I was crazy. She was like not on board, totally addicted to the sweets and the desserts and all the crap. You know what I mean? And she just thought I was crazy for not eating fruits and vegetables. You know what I mean? Just like I'm going to kill myself. No matter what I tried to show her, videos, whatever, she just, so that's not a good thing. It's just not a good thing. You got to have some support a little bit,
Here's a comment that's, I think, directed towards Paul. Brisket Boomer says, as a type 2 diabetic, you should be able to get completely off insulin eventually. I'm type 1 and I only take 10 units a day, still hoping to heal. So
I don't
I
know.
think-
I think that's different for everyone, Amy. I really do.
You see, I'm a type 2, but I respond as a type 1.
Oh,
My endocrinologist, he thinks, and I've got some past C-peptide tests, and I'm very low on making insulin in my pancreas. I'm very low.
so you know what you are? You're LADA, LADA.
Well, we haven't tested officially. I don't have that diagnosis because what they
bet you
do
are.
now.
I'll bet you $1 million you are.
Well, he wasn't so sure. He says I'm on my way there. Okay, but
Well, if that's the case, if you are where your pancreas is just not making hardly any, you're gonna have to
no,
take it.
it's not hardly any. It's here's the thing.
Yeah.
I think this is where people get, and it comes a lot from the internet. All these people pushing the keto and carnivore. My A1C went from 9.9 to 2.0 in just one T-bone steak. I exaggerate, okay? But it's what you're always hearing, okay? And got to go back to Sarah Hallberg, did the big study, 500 people. All ranges of type 2 diabetic diagnoses, okay? And she nailed it. 8.4 years was like the breaking point. If you start in on keto and carnivore, within 8 years of your diagnosis of type 2 diabetes, you will, almost all of them within 15 months, reversed it. But those
Right.
who had been diabetic for more than 8 years, it took them 2, 3, even 4 years.
Or sometimes longer.
Yeah. And we don't know what we've done to our bodies, okay?
Mm.
And I've my dream always was, I would beat type 2 diabetes. I'd be no insulin, no drugs, no nothing, just diet, okay? Even if it had to be zero carb, okay, fine, it's zero carb, okay? But that may not be. And here's the thing we don't know. Not enough people like me have been carnivore and serious carnivore long enough
Yeah.
to really fill in the data points. What if 8 years from now, all of a sudden, Paul doesn't need any insulin? I was doing 50 units just a month ago. I was doing 50 units of Lantus insulin every night. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm down to 30.
Wow, really?
Yeah. And every day, the last, I see, so Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, and now Monday night, I've cut I've dropped 8 units in 4 days. Okay.
Wow. That's huge.
And well, and here's the thing I found out, which you never hardly ever hear. Okay. 33,000, this is, I'll give you a stat. 33,000 people a year go to the hospital for low blood sugar, too much insulin, okay?
Mhm.
Or not enough carbs, so it's however you want to look at it. So, but just low blood sugar, I can go down to 40, I'm fine, okay? But that puts a stress on the heart. Okay, it's not good for you.
Right.
And I had a lot of low blood sugars, okay, under 55. And he says, you really want to address that and get rid of that red down there. And they have a thing called percent in range. So I've set my own range, okay? My
Right.
range is between 70 and 130. 30 points either side of 100. Well, today was a hell of a day, let me tell you. My lowest today was 84. That was sometime after midnight. And my
Mhm.
highest today was 104.
Wow, are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
And now the 104 went to like 114 about 2 hours before this show. I stood by the kitchen sink and I did calf rises where you go up on your tiptoes, hold for 2 seconds, come back down.
So Paul,
I did 300. Okay.
Can I
I
ask
did
you
300.
let me ask
Yeah.
you one question. If you're
Yeah.
that stable, I mean, at what point do you say I need to actually take any insulin if you're in range like that?
That's with 30 units of insulin, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, remember, Lantus insulin is one of the top notch. It's what the doctors call a true 24-hour long acting insulin. Okay,
Okay.
it lasts. When you inject it, it takes about an hour and it starts working. Okay,
Mm.
what it does when you inject it under your skin, it precipitates. It becomes a solid, like a crystal. You can reach down there and feel it almost, and then it slowly dissolves over time. But it lasts, a lot of long acting insulins only last 12, 14, 16 hours, okay? Or they last 20 hours. So they don't really make it the full 24-hour period. That's the great thing. Lantus is very expensive. It's $900 for a little vial, okay?
Wow.
The pens are like $1,200, okay? But the great thing about the state of Pennsylvania is I'm a senior citizen in Pennsylvania. I never pay more than $15 for any prescription.
Wow.
Never. Our lottery winnings support us old folks. Okay.
Yeah.
Great thing about Pennsylvania. It's one of the few things good about Pennsylvania. Okay. But yeah, you got to remember. So to me, and I've been down this road before. Oh, wow. Look at my blood sugar. It's coming down. Man, I'll just knock 5 units off every day. And you go too fast. It doesn't hold. And I've also had problems in the past. My meter wasn't, my CGM wasn't top notch, okay? Wasn't performing as it should. And I thought, oh, look how great I'm doing. And my sensor was no good, okay? Do a finger stick and say, oh my God, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble the other way, But I seriously think Abbott's Libre systems has gotten much better. And they still have issues, but 20 years from now, CGMs will be so damn accurate, it'll be ridiculous. And they'll probably tell you what your insulin is. And Abbott's actively working on that. They're determined that they're going to have a CGM that's going to monitor your insulin. Think what that's going to do. Imagine if you knew your insulin level every minute.
Mm.
It's just like but it's just like all the other things, like they brought the cholesterol numbers down, so you got to be on a statin. You know what was in my file? This guy had all my medical records for the last 5 years, right? You know what was in my file time and time again? I was a non-compliant patient.
You
I
and
would not
Mitch.
do what the doctor told me to do.
Yeah, you and Mitch, old guy carnivore, very non-compliant.
Yeah, I mean, they prescribed. I'm allergic to statins. Thank God. God reached down and blessed me. I really feel somebody blessed me. Okay, I got 2 blessings in my life. I didn't inherit my father's genes from my heart. Long line of Salvateras, bad heart news, okay? My mother was one of 9 girls in the family, okay? I got her genes. I got a beautiful heart. Thank God, okay? They can't believe. Every time they send me for some kind of heart test, I score really, really, really well. And so I don't know, it's, and that's the thing. We don't have enough people out there who've been on carnivore 4, 5, 6, 8 years with whatever diseases that we can say, hey, look at this. Because let's face it, I'll raise my hand. I went off the wagon. And even though I've taken a vow, I'm not going off the wagon ever again. I'm not.
Well, let me just say this. So, you guys know Thomas Target Prime Rib, right? And he's
Yes.
been a
No,
20.
no.
Yeah, well, he's in the chat. He was 25, I think 25 years insulin dependent diabetic, and he's brought his number of units down dramatically, but yet he's now coming up on, I want to say 10 months carnivore, but he's pretty darn close. He's down to maybe 10 units a day from like tons. Okay, I don't even know what the top number is, but he's down to 10 units of insulin a day, and I think it's short acting. I don't think it's the long acting, but he's off Victoza. He was on. He's off a lot of stuff. He's just down to like about 10 units of insulin a day, I think.
Yeah, I know.
After
I know.
this
I
is
know. Type
25
1.
years.
Yeah.
25 years, guys.
But
Okay,
you
that's
don't know
amazing.
the level of damage in different bodies.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
Yeah, that's
what that
absolutely
proves is,
accurate. You
what
know,
it
there's
proves though is everyone's different. You might take 8 years, 10 years, whatever it is. Thomas might take him a year or 2 years, or he might be a month from now off of insulin. We don't know. But what I can tell you is everyone is getting better. That's the beauty of
Oh yeah.
carnivore. People are
I mean,
getting better. We should probably move on to another chat question.
but
there's
all my fast acting insulin's gone. That's all
Yeah, that's
gone. I
good.
don't even use it
Yeah.
anymore.
That's good.
So, like Dr. Barry says, as I've heard him say a number of times to individuals who aren't seeing rapid results, because some people see rapid results when they go on
Yeah.
a carnivore diet, and then those that don't see rapid results feel a little discouraged. But he'll remind you that, hey, it took you years to get into this
Yeah.
bad of a shape. So it could take years for you to completely undo all that damage, if you can actually undo all that damage. So that's why I always prescribe
You
some
know,
vitamin P.
I had
which
I
stands
had
for patient.
15 different I had 15 different things wrong with me. And guess what? My blood pressure, it corrected in 4 or 5 weeks.
Yep, that's usually one of the first ones.
Once I peed out all that fluid, my blood pressure was almost okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
very nice.
yeah.
George Goodenough here tells us an interesting fact. He brought this up last week because he was on, and he talked the whole night with us last week. The word vegan did not exist in the language until 1944. So
I remember that. Yeah.
there's a time where vegans didn't exist. And we have someone mentioning that the sound of a television on someone's microphone is very distracting. So if you have a TV on, could you please mute it?
I don't have a TV.
Okay. And then let's see here. The ketogenic diet by name, I guess, appeared in 1923. Although, of course, ketogenic diets have been around since the dawn of mankind's creation. And I like this. Speaking of Thomas, Target Prime Rib, he makes a good comment here. And I like this illustration. Most of us were so sick we didn't even know it. We were like wearing blinders like a horse, and carnivore took those blinders off. And that's a good illustration, because it was like we had blinders on and we were just wandering around kind of aimlessly, but now we can see, what's good for us in a nutritional sense. I like that illustration. That's a very good one. So use that in a talking head video as you describe carnivore to people. That's a good one. I like that. All right. Let's see who else we got over here. Dr. Nelson says, good night, everyone. Looks like he's going to exit stage left here. That's okay. Glad you could join us if you're still here. I'm back at 8:30, so I'm 30 minutes behind on these comments here. So I'm going to start skipping ahead a little bit. Say hi to Don Schonger. Good evening. Just on my way home after work. So the word carnivore appeared in the Oxford English Dictionary in 1854. All right. And Bill says he named his feral kitten Ketosis. All right. Let's see here. Tom says, I was probably influenced by that video as well, Papa Carnivore. Don't think it was my first, but it still helped me. That must be the Dr. Barry video you talked about.
Yeah, it's that video's got millions and millions and millions of views. That's an incredible, video. But a lot of people were helped by it. But what really, I not only watched it, But then I started reading the comments, and I fell into the rabbit hole of hundreds and hundreds of just reading all the comments, because I'm hearing not only diabetes was cured, but they start talking about my high blood pressure's gone. I'm off all my high blood, and I was on 3 high blood pressure medicines. My fatty liver's gone. I had fatty liver. My arthritis is gone. I had terrible arthritis in my knees. I could barely walk. That's gone away in a few weeks or whatever. Well, depression, anxiety, all the things I had, IBS, and I had terrible gut pain and bloating and constipation, diarrhea, all that. I had everything. And it like Jeff said, you don't know how sick you are until you're not sick. The brain fog, that brain fog. How do you know you're in a fog until the fog lifts? You have no idea you're in a brain fog. You don't know you can think clearly again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Here's a good comment from Bill Cook. Anyone with diabetes should check out free advice given on American Diabetes Society, a nonprofit. And we do want to clarify that the American Diabetes Society is not to be confused with the American
ADA.
Diabetes Association. Right. So the American Diabetes Association has been around for a long time. And if you go to their website, they're going to give you a recipe for cookies.
Yeah,
You don't
exactly.
eat cookies if you're diabetic. The
Yeah.
American Diabetes Society, I think, has been around for less than a year, and it was co-founded by Dr. Barry, Dr. Tony Hampton, and a lot of the doctors that we trust.
Yeah,
So,
the good doctors.
the good doctors, yes. So the American Diabetes Society is who you want to pay attention to, not the American Diabetes Association. They are in the hands of Big Pharma. So, all right. Thomas Prime Rib says he was late to our chat today because he was being interviewed by Dave Mack. So we can look forward to that.
Oh, I'm going to definitely watch that.
That'll probably be coming out in the next couple days because I don't think he does much editing to them. He turns them out pretty fast. So here's another trivia one.
Yeah.
In 1856, the German writer Bernard Moncrief published The Philosophy of the Stomach, or An Exclusively Animal Diet. He lived on beef and milk for a year. Wow, that's interesting. So we were talking about, you can find books that go back to the 1700s. But I have to look it up. You can see it on, believe it or not, Wikipedia.
How about this? Want to hear something crazy? C.B. Carmack, he's a sheriff in Alabama.
Yeah.
He found a signed original edition book from the mid 1800s by Salisbury. Okay,
Yes.
Salisbury of Salisbury steak fame, who talked about a meat diet and stuff, and he's got it signed on the inside cover by Salisbury. He paid $150 for this book, but I'm telling you, that to a carnivore or people like us is priceless. That's a piece of history, guys.
That was in the 1800s, I believe.
Yeah, I forget the name of the book, but if you ever can get CB Carmack to talk about it, he was talking about it on Mitch's channel.
There's another guy back there from like early 1900s, 1923. He published his book. I can't remember the name, but it was about the keto diet. It was for diabetics.
Yeah, right. I know. I can't think of his name.
Eric Westman.
Was that Judkin?
I can't remember. Even if you said it, I don't think I can remember. Eric Westman keeps it in his office, shows it to his patients. Okay, this is nothing new. It's 100 years old.
Have you ever heard of the book? Have you ever heard of the book by Stephenson? It's called Fat of the Land.
Yeah.
I've heard of it. I've not seen it.
Okay, so
you can download it over here.
His name is Stephenson, and it's called Fat of the Land. And this book was from the 1920s, okay? And he literally went and lived with the Inuits.
Yeah.
He lived with the Inuit Indians.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was Canada or Sweden, maybe it was Sweden, whatever. But he lived with them for a year, eating nothing but fish, whale blubber, SEALs,
Yeah.
SEAL, just
Then
meat. There it
then
is.
they
That's
locked
it.
him in a hospital. Then they locked him in a hospital, and he ate the same thing in a hospital for.
Okay, so the book you're looking at right there with that cover, that red cover, red and white,
Yeah.
that's the original first edition of that book.
Yeah.
Which, if you could find that first edition like that, it's very expensive. But I have the book. I have the first edition. I think the original edition.
You can download an electronic copy right here.
Or I'm sorry, I don't have the first edition. I just have a paperback. I have a cheapie. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But you got to read that, because then what he did was he agreed to be locked into a ward, like some kind of like health ward, eating, so they could study him. I don't know. Was it for a year? I think it was for a year. Eating, so
yeah.
and
there was another guy with
observed.
him. Yeah.
Yeah. So he agreed, and his health was perfect. The Inuit Indians, guys, have no heart disease, no cancer, no diabetes. They're perfectly healthy, and they're thin. They're not overweight. They're in perfect health, and they eat nothing but fat, mostly fat, and but it's fat and protein, but very high fat.
So you can get Fat of the Land right here over on carnivoretalk.com in the download section. And there's this What Must I Do to Get Well by Elma Stewart. That was in the 1800s.
Yep.
Strong Medicine by Blake Donaldson, and the Type A Type AB weight loss book by Newbold. These are all old publications that goes to show that the carnivore diet has been around for a long time, long before the 2010s. So
Oh yeah.
Yep. So
Well,
it's
you know what Dr. Berry always says. Humans have been eating super carnivores, eating primarily fatty red meat from large animals and fish. If they were by the ocean, whatever, for 1 to 2 million years, maybe longer. And if eating fatty red meat and eggs was somehow bad for humans, we would be extinct as a species, folks. Okay, because that's what you look at the cave paintings. What's on the cave paintings?
salad.
They're either they got a spear, right, and they're in a bow and arrow or a spear, and what do they got in the painting? Some giant animal, right? So what does that tell you guys? We're talking. That's what we're meant to eat. We're not. You don't see broccoli on the wall.
I only think
And
broccoli's been around for about 1,000 years. I don't think it's been that long.
And man-made product.
Forks are basically a very recent thing too. Back in the day, like Revolutionary War, and go back even further, people ate with a knife and an ice pick. It wasn't really an ice pick, but they called it a pick. They had no forks.
Right.
So you didn't have any way of scooping up mashed potatoes. Okay, you didn't have any way of stabbing a whole fork full of salad. You couldn't get it in your mouth. Okay, forks were not very common at all.
Yeah,
I don't know when the fork finally evolved, but it just goes against the whole carnivore diet. And here's my problem with the whole carnivore scene that we see on the internet. More and more falsehoods are creeping in. Okay. And this
What
is
do you
just
mean?
me. Well, here's my rule. If Eric Westman or Bart K don't, let's just say fermented vegetables, okay, or fermented whatever. A lot of people are, you got to have this fermented thing for your gut health, okay? Bart K says it's false, okay? Hey, maybe Bart's wrong, okay? I don't know. But so far, I've never found Bart to be wrong. But there's a lot of stuff kind of creeping in. You see what I'm saying? And so where do you really go? And I listen to a lot of people, and I hear them misspeak. Maybe they misspeak, and sometimes they just don't know what they're saying, what they're talking about. And, nobody does a better job of debunking. I used to think Bart K was the best debunker there was. But I'll tell you what, Eric Westman, his little debunk thing that he does weekly, oh my God. He's calm, cool, collected. And when the video goes, he just says, let's stop right here. very calm, very cool, very collected, and says, I don't see the clinical evidence. And here's the other thing. These people are out there running their mouths about carnivore and never seen a patient. They don't have any clinical experience. Eric Westman sees almost 160 to 200 patients a week in 4 days. 10
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
he does a lot of...
he's been a doctor in the keto scene since the 90s. Westman's been around for a long time. He's one of the
He
OGs.
took-
I think he was around even
he
when
took...
Atkins was around.
Well,
you know?
yeah, he 2 of his patients came in, did the Atkins diet. He hopped on a plane, went and saw Atkins. Atkins died 5 years later. Atkins paid Duke University and mainly Eric Westman to do all the studies that they did about the year 2000. And then when Atkins took the head dive and killed himself, falling on the sidewalk,
It was an accident. He didn't like.
Yeah, I know I said that wrong. Sorry, but Westman scooped in and hired his assistant, he grabbed his assistant just like that.
Right.
And
yeah, so going back to your comment, like you mentioned that some people are saying that fermented vegetables are required for your health or your gut health or something. So we know that is false. Okay. There is zero requirements for carbohydrates. We know that, plants, they all have some sort of toxin to some degree that may or may not affect you as an individual. And there are individuals that say that the fermented ones are going to be less toxic than their unfermented counterparts. And that's probably true. If you want to eat vegetables or fruits, that is entirely up to you. So your carnivore diet could possibly include a little bit of those things, or your carnivore diet may be completely devoid of those things. So, because a hypercarnivore, as even Bart K refers to humans as hypercarnivores, by definition, that's one who gets 70% or more of their nutrition from animal products. And to give you an example, and so he goes through periods where he's not strict carnivore. Bart K will admit to eating off plan. Bart K will admit to having beer once in a while. And he'll just say, hey, I'm just human, just like the next guy. But there was if you remember Lily Kane, so she was very pro carnivore, and then she kind of veered a little more to the animal-based Saladino kind of philosophy, which is just fine. But she had a video called Why I Quit the Carnivore Diet, and she proceeded to describe the diet that she was eating. And Bart K did a reaction video to it, and he said, Lily, you're still a carnivore. You're still eating a carnivore diet, even though she's having a little fruit now and again. So, if you want to be strict with your labels and strict with your definitions, then certainly, yes, the carnivore diet is meat only, but a carnivore diet might include some seasonings, might include some coffee, or some tea like I drink, or might include some fermented vegetables once in a while, or someone like Papa Carnivore and me, maybe once a month or once every 2 months, we eat out and we might have a small portion of plant matter,
Yeah.
So, we don't, we don't want to lay down like ground rules. We had some previous discussions in the past about not being carnivore police, and not being super militant about it, So, we want to be reasonable. So, yeah, if someone wants to, I'm coaching someone here in real life, okay, who was doing strict carnivore, was doing really well, and then after a pregnancy kind of fell off, and then tried to get back on and was having trouble, and so now they're doing more of an animal-based approach, and it's working out really well for her, so all that's fine. So again, your diet has to be tailored towards you as an individual. In your case, considering what your health conditions are, yes, being near zero carb as possible is probably the same path I would take also if I was a type 2 diabetic. So absolutely. And
you know what the great thing about this community is the more you listen, the more little gems you find. I
Mhm.
was listening to Dave Mack had a guest on in the last week or two, and she was a type 1 diabetic. And I had recently bought Richard Bernstein's or Bernstein, whatever you pronounce it, his book. And he was to me, the god of type 1 diabetics. Lived to be 90 and worked until he was like 89 or something. And he was type 1 diabetic all his life and a medical doctor. And I was going through he's got a bunch of recipes in this book he's got, right? And I was surprised to see like zucchini something, okay? It's basically, I can't remember exactly. Anyhow, I was surprised, it's kind of a keto diet. It's not really a strict carnivore diet. But he knew about the eating enough food at one time to elevate your blood sugar just enough so your kidneys have that response where they do what they're supposed to do. And I don't understand all the science behind that. I've heard Bart Kay describe it. He talks about it. If you're going to be zero carb, how you need to eat enough protein in one meal to help get you that insulin response. And I can see that on my meter. I eat the same time every day, just about 4 o'clock. And you can see I got this nice little smooth bump right around 4 o'clock. And that bump is now less pronounced than it used to be. So my body is adapting to what I'm doing. And I guess adapting is just maybe another word for healing, okay? And so, yeah, who knows? In a couple more weeks or 10 weeks from now, I might be down to 10 units or less of insulin every day. It could happen.
Yes, it could. And
Maybe
we'll be
I'm
eager
finally
see
ready
what
to
happens.
heal.
Yeah, we'll be eager
Maybe
to see
I'm
how that
healing.
develops. We'll definitely want you to keep us updated. Nunya Biz asks, "Is this a date channel?" So I think that's because Papa Carnivore was talking about his date. And well, I'll tell you what. If you would like to join us on screen and talk to one of these 5 outstanding-looking men here on the screen, you're welcome to click the link that's pinned at the
Is
top.
there a carnivore dating site? Is there a carnivore dating site yet?
You're on it. You're on it.
Yep. All right.
Oh, go.
Let's see here. In the 1870s, Italian physician Arnaldo Cantani prescribed his diabetic parents an exclusive.
That should have read patients. That should have read patients. That was me typing. Yeah,
Patients, not parents.
Yeah. So as you probably know, guys, I'm very interested in my history, and actually, I discovered a couple of things tonight, this included, which I didn't know before. But we were discussing the 1920s, and I've done a lot of research recently. I've got some good stuff about Wilhelm Stefansson, who was the Arctic explorer, and his sidekick was a guy called Dr. Carsten Andersen, who is actually a young Danish doctor. Now, I found an excellent primary source, which I want to flag up. Take the 3 words physical, culture, and study, run them together. So it's physicalculturestudy.com, and look up under that, look up Wilhelm Stefansson's all meat diet, parts 1 and 2. And that is actually primary study. That is his own story in his own words. So that he actually gets to sell it, and it is a long read, and I haven't actually yet read it myself, but I intend to get around to doing it. Can you find it, Bob, or not?
Yeah, I'm pasting the link. So it is. Let's see here.
That's the correct. Yeah, that's what I was trying to get over. That's the link, and I say in the title is Wilhelm Stefansson's all meat diet, parts 1 and 2.
All right.
Wow.
Oh. Let's see if it comes up here.
I just Google it. Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's part 2. Yeah.
There we go. In part 1.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the story of the Bellevue study which started on February the 13th, 1928. That's in his own words. So I think that's well worth a read. If I will be getting around to it eventually, but I'm very, very busy at the moment. Yeah, so that guy, I think that's probably going to be the best way of studying Wilhelm Stefansson, who was actually christened William Stevenson, but he changed his name back to the Icelandic version. He was born in Manitoba in Canada. Right, and the other one I want to talk about is the ketogenic studies back in the 1920s for epilepsy in children. Okay, so it was a guy called Rollin Woodyat who identified the acetone, beta hydroxybutyrate, and acetoacetate. But in 1923, Dr. Russell Wilder actually introduced the term ketogenic diet into the language. Prior to that, there was a lot of studies on fasting for health, as in epilepsy. There was a guy called Bernard, no D, Bernard double R at the end, McFadden, who believed in fasting for health. He had a student, a guy called Hugh Coughlin, who, of all places, came out of Battle Creek Sanitarium, which, as we know, is not exactly the place. But he believed in fasting for epilepsy, and he actually recommended fasts of 18 to 25 days. So the long-term fast was which came before the ketogenic diet, if you like. But then as I say, Rollin Woodyat found out about the process of ketogenesis, and then Dr. Russell Wilder named it the ketogenic diet, and then a guy called Mini Gustav Peterman carried on with Dr. Russell Wilder's work, and it was the standard of care for epilepsy in children until 1938. When the anticonvulsant phenytonin was discovered. So then the pharmaceutical companies took over the management of epilepsy versus the ketogenic diet. So there's two. I've been doing a lot of history research just recently. So there's two names for you: Wilhelm Stefansson, again in his own words, and then the name to remember from the ketogenic the epilepsy studies for ketogenesis is Dr. Russell Wilder, because if you look up him, then you'll get all the other names as well, which I've just noted. So that's the reason why I jumped in, gents. So yeah, I'll stay on, but that was I said my piece.
Well, thank you for sharing that information. It really jives well with our topic about, is the carnivore diet, or a ketogenic diet, which a carnivore diet is, a fad diet? And, thanks to a lot of your added research, of course not, because this goes back decades. And as we've talked about, centuries. And as we're all well aware of, millennia, and maybe what do you do for millions of years? Like, there's probably a word for that. Yeah.
So,
yes.
Can we describe ourselves as having a ketogenic metabolism, or is that not a good choice of words? Or
every baby is born in a state of ketosis. So yeah, we are naturally ketogenic because we are born ketogenic, and then we are dragged away from it by idiots who want to feed us carbohydrates. So there we go.
Yeah, we all have a ketogenic metabolism, or you could say a lipid-based metabolism or a fat-based metabolism. I think all those terms are synonymous. So, because what we don't have is a sugar-based metabolism, or a carbohydrate-based metabolism, or a glucose-based metabolism. So,
when I go to my primary care physician, you know what I get a printed summary when I leave. It says ongoing health concerns. Patient consumes a ketogenic diet.
Yeah,
that's an ongoing health concern of mine.
That is a very bad thing to do, Paul. I don't know why you're doing that. It's going to give you a massive heart attack. It's going to give you a massive heart attack.
This is the thing I found interesting is When I went into the endocrinologist, obviously I got my seat, and they automatically, I'm connected to their office. I can call them up right now and say, I'm having trouble with my blood sugar. Could you look at my numbers? And they can just pull it up out of the cloud, okay? And so anyhow, they could see my data. And I really, this last 6 weeks, I've entered everything into that app. Everything I've eaten, exercise I've done, blah, 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 right? And my insulin dosages, everything. And it's so easy to do now. This new app is just fantastic. And when they come in to see you're actively doing all this, and you see the results, okay? I mean, my blood sugar is just phenomenally nice right now. And I'm cutting down the insulin every day, and you can't argue with success. But boy, you walk into not the specialist, but the primary care physician side of it, they're like, oh, you need to get over it, Paul. You're not going to have a 5.6 A1C. You're almost 70 years old. You need to grow up, get with the program, and you need to be between 7 and 8 on your A1C. You can forget this 5.6. I forget what they call it now. It's like your glucose management index or something, GMI. It's a predictor of what your A1C will be. Mine's right now on my meter or on my phone on the app. I punch that up. It's 5.6.
Yeah.
For 7 days, 14 days, and 30 days, I'm a straight 5.6. So if I were to go get my A1C tested if you could do an A1C for 30 days, it would come out 5.6. My 90-day one's up to like 6.2, but it keeps coming down because I'm doing better and better. Eventually, I'll push those bad numbers past that 90-day mark, but we don't know how long my red blood cells are living either. Nobody's figured that one out. Even Ben Bickman ain't even figured that one out. How long does a red blood cell live? They don't know. If he can't figure it out, I ain't gonna figure it out.
No Slow asks, what effect does black tea have on oxalates? That probably just
black
depends
tea-
on how much you drink.
Well, black tea does have the highest amount of oxalates of any tea, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So if you can go to green tea, or better yet, an herbal tea like chamomile, hibiscus. Like I drink a lot of tea, guys, now, and a lot of it's like just herbal tea. Ginger honey tea. Like I have not the honey, ginger lemon ginger tea. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. But black tea, yes, if you drink a lot of black tea, that's got really high oxalates, so you got to be careful. There's a tea that I drink. It's called Bigelow Perfectly Mint Tea. It's black tea with mint, but I only have that maybe once or twice a week, just because I really like the taste. But otherwise, the only tea I'll drink is herbal tea or green tea because it's very, very low in oxalates.
Okay, that has nothing to do with the question, actually, because that question was in response to Target Prime Rib stating in an earlier post that he has black tea sometimes for oxalates.
Oh, right, to ease the
So
symptoms.
that's what the question was. He was asking Target Prime Rib, what does that mean?
Oh, okay. So he's talking about black tea can be used to ease the symptoms of oxalate dumping. So that could possibly be what they're talking about.
Yeah. If you don't want to experience really bad oxalate dumping, then you want to wean yourself off of oxalates, so you'd still consume some oxalate foods. And tea, you'd rather have tea than, say, a bunch of spinach and almonds. So it's the lesser of several evils, you could say. And so why consume oxalates by choice? Again, that probably goes back to trying to minimize the effects of oxalate dumping. I have a cup of black tea a day. It's one tea bag and 16 ounces of water. I have that every morning, unless I get up and leave right away and I don't have time to brew it. And I'm completely okay with that. And I'm not afraid of oxalates. My diet previously, I used to guzzle, teas and coffees, and I used to eat spinach all the time. And then I used to snack on almonds all the time. Like I used to consume so much oxalate that I'm surprised I have never had a kidney stone. But I do have chronic kidney disease. So the amount of oxalates I consume now is a pittance compared to the amount that I used to prior to starting my carnivore diet. So I'm not too really worried about it. And also remember that the human body will produce oxalate on its own naturally. So, and of course, what we don't necessarily want to add a bunch of exogenous oxalates because that could cause problems. But the amount that I get in 1 cup of tea a day, I have zero concern for it whatsoever, because it doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't harm me in any way. So, but that doesn't mean, of course, that it's not going to harm someone else. Someone else could be uber sensitive to oxalates and want to avoid it altogether. So, and again, that just, the message is, you have to tailor this lifestyle to you, and that's how I tailor it to me. So I started off very strict as an elimination diet for a solid year. And then after I reached my goal weight, and after that year, then I've started to make some allowances for some spices, for some black tea, and things like that here and there. So, all right. Let's see here. And then Tom's heading to sleep. That's okay. So, by the way, it is 9:30. So I just wanted to remind everybody that you can join us on the screen here. There's a link that is pinned at the top of the chat if you are on YouTube. If you're not, I'm sending it into the chat right now. If you're over on X or over on Facebook, I've got room for 10 individuals on the screen. So we've got 5 here. That means we've got 5 empty seats. And if you would love to talk carnivore, ask questions face to face, because if you notice, we lag behind when it comes to the chat. So we eventually get to your questions in the chat, but if you don't want to wait, come on the screen and you can talk to us directly as well. Let's see here. Tom said, make sure to see my interview at 4 p.m. tomorrow with targeted guest Stephanie Taylor from Happy Sexy Health. So that's 4 p.m. probably Eastern time, because Tom's in the same time zone as me.
As long as Stephanie turns up, because she was due on with Robin Heron tonight and she didn't turn up. I'm a bit worried, but I did speak to Stephanie earlier on today, so she was fine. I don't know what happened there, but yeah, hopefully she'll turn up tomorrow. Stephanie's actually probably about my best friend in the carnivore community. She lives an hour from me, and we're on the committee which organises the Great British Meetup. I went. We had myself and my wife Lenny went and had dinner with her a couple of weeks ago now. Yeah, so Stephanie's great. If you don't know her story, she's stage 4 ovarian cancer, but feeding in the health of her life because she's gone carnivore. Very beautiful lady, very good fun lady as well. I mean, look at the name of her channel, Happy Sexy Health. So yeah, do go and watch that tomorrow. So hopefully she'll turn up, but who knows.
And then the two of you, along with John Lucina and guests, do a Sunday live stream at 1 p.m. Eastern time.
That's
called
correct.
Sunday School Carnivore. So
yeah, it's actually just been rebranded this week at the suggestion of one of our viewers. It's actually going to be Carnivore Sunday School from now on. So we put the name Carnivore first because we think that might help the algorithm to have the name Carnivore as the first word. We got some fabulous guests coming up. We've got Kimberly Morrow, one of our classmates, coming up very shortly. Nikki, one of our Miss Laughlot's, coming on. Then we've got James Barry, is his name? Yeah, the guy who's the CEO of Pluck. On November the 23rd, we have Dr. Kiltz. And then going into December, I managed to finally track down Erin tonight, Booby Goats. So she's coming on the 14th of December. And then Rebecca Johnson, who is Cabana Chronicles, lives over in Spain. She's an MS recoverer, as is Diane Ladd. Diane Ladd's going to be on at the end of this month. And then Rebecca's coming on in December as well. So we've got 2 MS recovery stories as well. So we got some good names coming up, folks, Dr. Kilt's included. So, yeah, please join us 1 p.m. Eastern every Sunday. There's myself and John, and there's a bit more of attractive screen in Stephanie, to say the very least. And yeah, we got some great guests. So thanks for that, for the shout out there, Bob. That's brilliant.
Yeah, no doubt. And then we can talk about early 2026 if you like. I can't do 1 p.m. on Sundays at all in
Oh yeah, I've noticed that Steph's actually got you in the waiting to confirm list every time she sends out the every time she sends it out. Yeah, you are waiting to we're sort of waiting to confirm with you.
So my religious meetings are at 1 p.m. and then this year, but then it's going to switch to 10 a.m. in 2026.
Okay.
Then I'll be available at 1 p.m. So
yeah, I mean, the thing is that we're nearly fully booked until the end of this year, and we've still got quite a few people who I am targeting to try and get to come on. So yeah, we'll be running well into next year. I think I can foresee it running as long as people want it, because if we run out of people the first time round, we can always bring people on for a second go. There's no reason why not. So
absolutely,
yeah, it's going to be
Rick.
good.
Is that you trying to join us here?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but we can't see you.
I keep having problems every time I try to do this. I don't know what's going on. It's weird.
That's okay.
Very strange.
We can bring up a picture of you and share the screens. How you doing today?
I've got my emergency duck if that helps.
All right.
Let me try again. This is crazy.
Okay. Bill Cook says a good carnivore dessert is an oopsie cake, and that would actually work very well. I used to make oopsie rolls back in the late 90s and early 2000s when I was doing keto. But yeah, that would be carnivore. That would be a carnivore product for sure.
Oh, I see what happened.
Yeah. Rockin' Coach Amy is working on her proper human diet assignments. She's taken the Ken Berry coaching course, and so that's exciting. And
we got a couple of the KMT on that as well, because CB Carmack's on that, as is Juliet's Coach Juliet Edens as well. They did the Kilts coaching course, and they've gone on to do the PhD as well. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I applied, but I didn't get selected for the first round, and it's kind of good anyway, because like I'm in the Kilts one, but I'm not going to graduate in time. Because I've just been too busy. So I'm going to make up for it over the next few weeks. Maybe get it done along with the second class or something. So
because we've all been invited to sit in on the second class, and because it's very convenient for me, because it's 8 p.m. my time on a Wednesday evening, and I'm not doing anything else, so I'm going to sit the whole second course as well. Yourself, Bob, I'm in no rush. So if I don't sort of graduate until after the second course, I'm not that bothered, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, eventually, all these, they're going to pick out the best recordings, and it's going to be an online work at your own pace kind of course anyway. So I'm not too worried about it. It's just my real life business in construction. This is my busy time of year, and I'm just so behind on everything. I haven't made any long form videos in a while. I've just been doing these live streams, and I feel guilty about that too, because I got so many topics I want to talk about. I've talked about how I want to start another channel too, and then I'm like, I don't have time for this one. How am I going to do time?
Exactly.
This one, how am I going to start another one? So.
Yeah, I'm in the process of taking a 3-month sabbatical from construction, so I've actually got the time on my hands to this sort of thing. If I do have to go back to work in the new year, then you won't be seeing me so much at this time on a Monday night. That's for sure. But I'm just because I turned 60 back in September, and I got a lump sum from my military pension. I'm getting a very small amount every month now, but it won't last forever. So either I can find a way of making some money through a bit of media work, or I might have to go back to construction. And when I go back to construction, I say, guys, I will have to temporarily disappear from the American scene, but hopefully I'll be around, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Latro is doing some chicken wings in the air fryer, rubbing them with rendered tallow from the burgers. That sounds delicious. It's going to be better than what I had. I had the Arby's steak nuggets, which were okay. It's still fast food, so it wasn't. It filled the hole, but it wasn't impressive.
Looks like I fixed it.
All right, let's see here.
The call-in line, the whole thing was all screwed up.
Yeah. Nunya Biz said oxalates and tea, depending on variety, processing methods, steep time, and temperature, and brewing techniques affect the content as well. Yeah, absolutely. So many variables will go into that. So Sharon had a honorary mint majesty tea with 2 honeys today at Starbucks. I may get some of the tea bags for the future, but will forego the honey in the future once and done on that. Oh, so, every once in a while, I go down to my local butcher where you can get your regeneratively raised grass-fed beef and everything like that. It's called Duma Meats here in Mogador, Akron, Ohio area. And every once in a while, they've got these plastic square containers with honey in the comb. And so I did pick that up this last week and had some of that. So it's just something I just treat myself to once in a great while. I don't do it all the time because, well, A, it's expensive. It's fructose. It's bee vomit. I understand all that. And B, it's expensive. I need to underscore the fact that for some reason it's expensive. So, but I like to treat myself to that once in a while. So I would like you to be on my channel, Bob. Yes, we've talked about that. I need to send an email to you and get that going. And someone asks, No Slow asks, Rick, are you eating a funnel cake? All right.
I'll just say Thomas is great. He has absolutely no fear at all, because we had a lovely young Zimbabwean lady on last night called Pumi on Carnivore Sunday School. And the first thing Thomas did in comments was, do you want to come on my channel, Pumi? So, yeah, we managed. I think we've managed to put them together. So hopefully he will have her on as well. But Thomas asks everybody, and it works for him. So he has absolutely no fear of asking people. So I think it's great. He said, George, when you can, says your great guest my way. You know me, Thomas. I did persuade Pumi to come on with you last night, so I'm doing my best for you, mate. Really.
Yeah. And you've heard me talk about the last several lives too, that I want to up my interview game. That's something that I had always planned from the beginning, but again, it's the working and it's the time and the family obligations that have kind of made that difficult. But that's something that I'm going to. Things slow down as we get towards winter. I always call this backsplash season because everybody wants their kitchens to look really good for the holidays because they're going to have family over and they want their kitchens to sparkle. And then, but once we get past the holidays, then construction takes a dive, especially in January.
Yeah,
and the weather can put it off too. So my calendar is going to free up much more. And I want to up that interview game. I actually did an interview, and it was a pre-recorded interview, and the individual actually didn't want it published. So, and that's okay, But when we move forward, you'll have your choice of pre-recorded or live, and I think a lot of people seem to want to do it off the cuff and do it live. And not worry about the edits.
I like that.
Yeah, and that's kind of nice too, because then we can schedule it, and then we can get people in the chats to ask questions too, to make the interview a bit interactive. So
yeah, tomorrow night I'm actually hosting my first ever recorded interview on StreamYard. I'm terrified about it. Not so much about who I'm interviewing, who happens to be Dr. Kilt, but it's the StreamYard thing, because I'm the opposite to you, Bob. I'm a complete technophobe. I really am. I think I've managed to successfully send the link to Alia earlier on this evening. Stephanie is doing her best to teach me from 55 miles away, but I am I can't remember things. I'm dyslexic when it comes to buttons and pressing things, but I think I can remember how to do it. So I'm hoping that tomorrow night, Dr. Kilt will be, and I'm hoping to record that interview and then get it out once I've actually sort of worked out how to post it, and also how to create a thumbnail, which I'm hoping Steph is going to advise me on as well. But yeah, it's all a bit of a mystery to me at the moment, but I know what it is. I'm a slow learner when it comes to technology, but I will learn and I will get there. But it's just going to take me some time. That's all.
Yeah, once you learn, it'll be a lot of fun. So I get a kick out of thumbnails, So I always trying to come up with a theme, and I was trying to come up with a thumbnail to keep it interesting. I could just, like Dr. Barry for his Monday Night Lives, he uses the same thumbnail and the same title week after week after week. It's Monday Night Live, and it's just a picture of him and his wife, same backdrop, never changes. And maybe eventually I'll get to that when I run out of ideas. But I always like to try and come up with something unique each week. So
yeah, if I can do a Dr. Berry and just find one which I'm happy with, then what I'm thinking is just having myself on the left hand side and then sort of interview, and then the picture of my guest on the other hand on the other side. I think that's going to be my solution. So I like to keep things simple. I'm not a very adventurous when it comes to technology, to say the very least. So
yeah, my interviews will be like that, or it'll highlight like the guest and maybe one of their like their health things. Like I did like Jeff here was interviewed on my channel, and so we had him taking up the right side of the frame, and then we had like a heart and a heartbeat monitor on the other, because his big achievement, his big victory in that interview was the resolution of his atrial fibrillation.
Okay,
so I wanted to make that the theme of the thumbnail. So I might do that, or yeah, like you said, just the image of me and the image of the guest for the interviews. That's what I do. The Monday night things I like to get a little more silly with the different themes and the different topics, even if we don't talk about them very long. So like tonight's theme about his carnivore fad diet. We've probably talked about it all 5 minutes.
I know. Yeah, I spent the first hour of the show researching it for you, and then we talked
maybe all of 10 minutes. And that's because of our format here. You get 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people on the screen, and the conversation just flows. And we start talking about all kinds of stuff, and that's okay. That's actually what I want. This is more of the Monday Night Live is more of just a good old social gathering.
Yeah, it's a round table.
It started off as a Zoom call, so it was just an informal Zoom call, and then we decided to make it a live thing.
Yeah, the format's been around for a while. Does anybody remember John from, was it Carnivore Backwoods? Yeah, Carnivore Backwoods, wasn't it? Does anybody remember him?
I don't know.
He used to do a round table every week with people like Carnivore Soldier, Larry, and all those, and also JT from Poco Moonshine Family. Does anybody remember those people? They were like in 2023 when I started. They were the names, but they've all just seemed to have disappeared. Along with Nicole, former fat girl, she was another one who was a regular. And those, I'm really sad because they were they were my companions when I first started on Carnivore. But Larry actually told me he was leaving because I was worried about him. So my wife Lainey tracked him down on Facebook, and he actually did send me basically an apology saying, "I'm gone. I've had enough," And so it's just a shame. It's just a shame that we've lost so many good people from YouTube. But it's been we are replacing them on a steady basis. But it's just sad when some of your original mates just disappear.
Yeah, there's some. I was trying to remember this one. There's one woman's name. She lost a lot of weight. She made a lot of videos, but she stopped making videos. Kip Carnivore, he stopped making videos.
Yeah.
Intentional Carnivore, he stopped making videos.
Sean White, he's another one. Yeah, Sean White. He was again from 2023. He was on it all the time, along with Larry Carnivore Soldier. In fact, Larry interviewed Sean. It's just a shame. And also Carnivore Rabbi.
Carnivore Rabbi. Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, he was good as well. But they've they come and they go. Yeah.
On Friday nights, you had it was the guy from Carnivore Quest, and he still does his thing though. And then it was Dave Mack, and then it was Sean White, and I think it was Carnivore Kip. The four of them would do a carnivore discussion / Q&A every Friday night. And I remember I would listen to that. I'd go pick up my son from his job back then because he couldn't drive. And I'd sit in the parking lot and listen to the four of them talk. But yeah, like Dave, out of them, like Carnivore Quest, he does his own thing. And He backslid, for a while, disappeared for a while. Now he's back, trying to make up for lost ground. Dave Mack, I think, is the only one that's actually stayed consistent,
Yeah.
through the whole thing without missing a beat, And
I cannot keep up with Dave anymore because I'm so busy myself, and I've got so many new friends on who do lives like that. I used to watch his videos religiously every day, but I just haven't got the time to fit them in now. So it is what it is, I suppose, isn't it? Yeah.
My son's working for me now, and so he rides around in my truck with me, and he's 19 and he has absolutely no interest in listening to carnivore YouTubers while we drive an hour to work here and there. So now my listening has dropped off considerably. So it's because he's riding with me, and we usually put on some music, or we're talking father and son, during the duration of the ride. So, but when I was driving around by myself, that's when I got all my YouTube activity in. That was an hour on the way to work, an hour on the way home every day. I could listen to a couple videos, maybe even 4, because some people only do 30-minute videos,
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Thomas says that Stephanie hasn't reached out yet, but he's going to reach out to her soon. And Milton is at a party, and Rick is yelling for him to come home. Get over here, cat. Good night, Latro. Correct me on that someday. You have a good night. Glad you could make it. So, hi, Lexus. It's good to see you. And don't beat yourself up. All you got to do is get back up. She says she fell off the wagon again. We were just talking about, was it Courtney Luna was mentioned earlier, who actually, she wrote, and, she did keto, switched to carnivore, dropped a bunch of weight, made a bunch of great videos, even came out with a cookbook, and then I tried the sugar diet, fell off the wagon, having trouble getting back on right now. So, it's getting back on track, it's not always easy, but, you just keep working at it, and don't count, don't look at every slip up as like this, big colossal failure, just don't worry about it. You just, hey, put that behind you right away and get right back on track, so, and one of the things that I used to do, and this is the reason why I bring this up, I'm not saying that you do this, but what I used to do is whenever I caved, I used to then turn that into an excuse to delay my start. So like if I around, woke up, I'm doing good, and I have eggs and breakfast meat, and then at lunch I'm out and I eat something that's non-carnivore, or I eat something that's standard American junk. I used to say, well, there goes today, I'll start again tomorrow. Or if it was late in the week, like Friday, you know what? It's the weekend, I'll start again Monday, and then what I was doing was I was giving myself license to splurge while I can, because Monday morning I'm going to get back on track. And that would end up just being an endless cycle. So my advice now is let's say you're at lunch and you eat something, you had a bun, you had a whatever, you don't tell yourself I'm starting again tomorrow. You don't tell yourself I'm starting again Monday. You are starting again at the very next meal, so it's just, dinner, okay, you slid a little bit lunch. At dinner, you're going to make up for it, and you're going to do it right. So just get right back on immediately. That's what I think people should do, because the other portion ends up being like this cycle of making up excuses of when you're going to start again. And that's why I used to have to, whenever I wanted to lose weight, I had to talk myself into it over the course of months. Like the last time I did kind of ventured into this lifestyle, I started with low carb, but before I started with low carb, I had bad health results when I went to the doctor, and I'm telling myself, okay, I gotta do something. I want to start dieting again. I want to start eating right. And that was like in October. And I told myself through November, through December. I want to start eating right. I'm going to start eating right. And then I didn't do it until January because, that's my New Year's resolution. But I just talked about it for 2 months before I actually started doing it. And then when I did it, I was doing the, modern keto with the low carb wraps and the sugar-free jelly and the spinach and the salads and everything. And over the course of months, I had to slowly get out the fake keto foods and slowly reduce the vegetables and slowly increase the meat. I just, because for me, I just could not. Because I keep making excuses for myself. I couldn't just jump right in. So eventually I did that. But now that I've been doing it for a while, I do eat off plan from time to time. I readily admit this all the time, but I know when I do it consciously, and I know I'm not going to do it again for like weeks, so
yeah, I mean, to be interesting, Bob, what is for me with the alcohol, as Papa Pete mentioned earlier, I'm now 205 days alcohol free, having been a heavy drinker all my life. But throughout my adult life, I've always planned to give up drinking. It'll be Monday, whatever, and it never happened. And then it happened very, very suddenly, because I took a week off in March to go to follow a sporting event, the horse racing there, and I basically ruined that week by getting drunk. I couldn't even remember much of the horse racing which I was supposed to be watching. I certainly felt terrible at the end of it, and then it was suddenly like that. There was no planning. I woke up on the Monday morning, and I suddenly realized my drinking career was over. So there was no thinking I'll give up next week. It was, I had a terrible week, that's me done. And it was, I drew a line through it that instant. So it was like a light bulb moment. So I'm not one of these people who can plan and I'll give up Monday. I'm kind of it's kind of a sort of a moment of clarity for me, I think. And that's and I had the same thing with the carnivore, well, not the carnivore diet, because I didn't know about the carnivore diet. But it was when a nurse told me that when I was very morbidly obese with type 2 diabetes, a nurse just told me all carbs are sugar. And that was a clarity moment for me. And that's when I didn't totally go up the carbs, because I had to go and research what carbs were before I could do them. But yeah, that was the moment I realized that I could get rid of carbohydrates, sugar, and everything else. So that was, again, so I'm not very good at planning ahead and honoring those plans. If I can get a moment of clarity, a moment of instantaneous decision, that appears to be my best way of doing things. So yeah, I think carpe diem is the Latin for seize the day. Mm-hmm. No time like the present. Do it now. Just do it. Any of those, and they all apply. Just do it. Don't think about it. Just do it.
You mentioned alcohol, and here's a comment from Bill, which is very apropos. Sugar and carbs are like strong drugs. Struggling is real, harder for some than others, And so, think of it in terms like that. When you recognize it for what it is, you might be more resolved to get off of it. Alcohol is interesting. So yeah, I used to drink. I mean, I'd drink beers all day long, drink beer with dinner. I used to have a nightcap before bed. I'd have a Kentucky bourbon on ice, and that's what put me to sleep. Yeah. And I did that for years, and I probably did no favors for my health whatsoever. And now, like I said, I might have a drink once every 2 to 3 months. So the last one was about 3 weeks ago. We went out for open mic night, and I had a Kentucky bourbon on ice and a rum and Diet Coke. And I came home, and that night I woke up in the middle of the night with cramps, because I have kidney disease. And so that, dehydrated me, messed with my electrolytes. And there's nothing I hate more than waking up out of a dead sleep with cramps.
Oh, God, yeah. I know that feeling. Yeah.
Actually, so like my desire to drink again at night is like slim to none. So
there's one massive benefit which I always forget to mention for me giving up drinking, and that's when I was drinking, I used to suffer terrible night sweats, which used to sort of stain the mattress yellow. So the otis or something. But since I gave up alcohol after the first week when I went through withdrawal symptoms, since then I do not sweat at night. It's absolutely dry as a bone, the bed. And so it's that is a massive advantage of having given up the drinking. It tells me, because I was having those really heavy night sweats, I was probably allergic to alcohol, or either that or my liver was complaining, one of the two. But yeah, it's I couldn't go back now. I'm just up there is so much better, and my body is it's not rejecting alcohol anymore. So
Unbelievable.
I'm happy.
So I'm going to run to the restroom. Rick, you can explain what's unbelievable, and then I'm put this on the question if you get around to it. Jeff, this is targeted towards you. I'll be right back.
Well, I was talking to a really good friend of mine, carnivore brother, another mother, and my phone, for some reason, the cord is like screwed up. Let's see here. It's pulling out. It's got a tab on it. It's not like the tab's broken off. See? It's still there, but I guess it's broken internal. So I'm gonna have to take this thing apart, try to figure out why it doesn't stay in. You put it in, it just pulls right out. So I don't know what's going on. But I listened to everybody talking, Paul, everybody else talk, all the foods that they're tempted by. You got Peter over there talking about cookies, and they talk about ice cream, and they talk about all the duck food. And I think, why in the world do people still crave this stuff? I just can't imagine it. I don't know. Maybe I've just been eating meat for far too long. Every time you see me eating, what do you see me eating? It's always some piece of meat, eating with my hands, no knife and fork, eating like a caveman. And I enjoy it immensely. And then all the health problems, you're sweating. People have blood sugar issues. They have aches and pains and arthritis. And I mean, everything you can think of. And it's almost like it's like normal for them. I don't know. It just, to me, yeah.
The difference is, okay, so you've been carnivore since 1983.
Right.
You don't have a history and a memory of eating all these high carb foods that created these ups and downs, that created this addiction. So I get it that you don't get it, but it's kind of like, so I'm sitting there one day and my wife had bought a bunch of corn tortillas. Yeah. And they were sitting on the counter, and she buys them to feed to the chickens.
There you go.
And we don't eat that stuff. But I looked at that, and this was a year after I became carnivore, and I was over all the addictions. I was as clean as could be. My metabolic health was doing great. But I looked at them tortillas, and this wave of memories came over me of how good those used to taste to me. And I went, where in the world is this coming from? I was getting a craving for them things just from a memory of times past when I used to like them. And I don't want them. I look at them and they're just junk to me. Mm-hmm. I mean, they mean nothing to me, but it was that memory of how good they tasted. Yeah. And I have no desire. I don't eat them. I'm not going to eat them. I've been fortunate that I'm like you, Rick, that when I look at this stuff, it's not even food to me.
Right.
I don't consider it food. I don't have the cravings. I don't want it. I'm pretty strict in my carnivore. I eat one thing that's not carnivore, and that's jalapenos, maybe once a month, and just a few at that. But I'm like you. All this other stuff is non-food to me, and yeah, I understand where people are coming from on this, because some of them just aren't willing to push it aside, and some of them will cheat, or they'll indulge here and there, or they're drinking a diet soda or something, and they're keeping that sweet memory alive, and they're not getting rid of it.
Yeah, the great thing. The great thing in my household is that there's only two of us now because the kids have left, and my wife is a cancer sufferer who understands Thomas Seyfried, so there is no temptation in the house anymore. all the junk food is out. It's gone. The duck food, as Rick would call it, is completely gone. So you go to our fridge now, and basically it's steak and lamb and occasionally duck. Actually, Rick, the freezer is full of really good meat. We had Lainey emptied the freezer on Sunday, and she found ostrich steaks. She found duck legs. She found veal steaks and a rump of lamb. So we had a real mix-up on Sunday because she realised that she wanted to clear the freezer out ready for this winter. So we just had a sort of like a right mix-up of what she cleared out. It was absolutely brilliant. It really was. Ostrich is very tasty, actually. It really is.
It is.
I've never had it.
I've had ostrich and emu. They're both good. Very lean, but they're good.
But have you had Muscovy duck?
No, I have not.
Okay.
I've had duck. In fact, I'm going to tell you what, right? I turn my tank right now, and it ain't duck season yet, so I can't do that. And I'm definitely not going to say if I would, on a public forum. But I've got some of the best tasting duck out there on my tank right now. And if they're still there November the 1st, they're history. Okay. But I got some black belly whistlers out there, which is kind of rare this far north. Granted, I'm in Texas. I'm in Central Texas now, but still, they don't generally get this far north in Texas. And so, if they hang around till November the 1st, I'll be eating duck. You bet.
Isn't there a part of Texas that has Muscovy duck? Isn't there a part of Texas that has Muscovy duck?
Yeah, they're more in the southern part of Texas than they are up here. We do have some up here. The only place I've seen any is in the local parks, in town. And of course, that's verboten. You can't touch them in there. So, Bob, bring that question back up that was directed towards me, please.
Here it is. I watched a video on Stony Ridge Farm channel about losing money raising cattle due to overhead costs like increasing property taxes. Wonder if you've seen the video, or maybe seen the issue.
I have definitely seen the issue. I haven't seen the channel. I haven't checked out the channel or the video, but I wrote it down. I'm going to go ahead and check it out later on. But it's a well-known fact that you ain't going to get rich raising cattle unless you can do it on some grand scale. But your general small farmer just, it's more of a tax break than it is anything. In fact, my son, he got a promotion in his job, and he was like, "Dad, I got to do something. They're killing me on taxes." And so I said, "Well, buy some cattle. Good tax break, because you ain't gonna make nothing off them." And so, I mean, I raised mine to eat, not for profit. Right now, I have no cattle. All my cattle are sitting in my freezers. Just got them back earlier this week, or last week, I mean. So all my cattle are sitting in the freezers. But we're looking at buying a bunch of goats to put on our property right now. Later on, probably get some sheep, and I'll be buying cattle again in the future. But the cattle business, like a lot of farming, one of the problems with it is that the farmer or the rancher, they don't set the price of their animals. The market sets the price. The brokers set the price. The auctioneers set the price. So, you're at their mercy. And it's so bad in the farming community that the government has to subsidize farmers or they would go out of business, because they are subject to what somebody else is willing to pay for it. Most businesses, you make a product, you put a price on it, and you sell it. I can't do that with cattle. I can't say my cow's worth $1,200. That's what you have to pay. No, I'll take it to auction, or I put it on the market. Now I can put a price on it and sell it privately, but I can't price it enough to make that much money on it. Now I will tell you this: So in eating my cattle, now cattle prices are high right now. In fact, me and my son-in-law was talking about that just the other day. And cattlemen right now are starting to make a profit, and they're making a pretty decent profit. But as you know, you're seeing the cost of it in the stores. You know, right now cattle are high, real high. In fact, it was tough. It was a tough decision to butcher my cattle this time because prices were so high. Because I could have made some money off of a little bit of money. But here's what I did in the feeding out of my cattle, and they were mostly on grass. They got fed a little bit of grain, but not that much. But they lived on grass. I had no vet bills with them. There was very little overhead cost in raising them, and the cost of butchering them, the cost of processing them, the whole 9 yards. I got about 1,300 pounds of meat out of my two cows, and my wife figured it up. The cost of the feed, processing, the whole 9 yards. It cost us $3.01 per pound for that 1,300 pounds of meat.
Nobody
So to
processes
me, that's
at
where the
home.
profit's at.
You don't process at home.
No, I don't have the facilities for it.
Mm.
I can process smaller animals like my deer, sheep, goats. I can process them. My cattle, I don't have the facilities for it. It takes a lot more than what I've got, and you got to have a big cooler. You got to be able to hang them for a long time, you know, to age them. And I'm not set up for it.
You couldn't get some cooler from a
I
restaurant
mean, in
that
a
went out
pinch,
of
I could.
business? Maybe a cooler from a restaurant that went out of business?
I could if I was. Yeah, I could if I was ambitious enough. I could, but I'm not. Yeah, and I'll be honest. I don't like butchering. I don't mind it. I usually take most of my animals to a processor just because I prefer the professional way that they package and wrap them and they cut them. And for me, I can do it. I just don't like to do it. In poor times, I did it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But when I've got the money to pay somebody else to do it, I'll pay somebody else to do it. It's just like I'm pulling out a tub and putting in a walk-in shower. If Bob lived close enough, I'd hire him to do the shower work. Just because I really don't want to do it.
I always have to do my own construction because I like it the old-fashioned way. And now everybody's got that stupid drywall and all that cheap crap. I always do everything the old way. You know, blocks,
Right.
lath and plaster. I make my own ceiling tiles. I got a special style that I like. I even have to make my own paneling because they don't even sell that crap anymore. So I end up doing everything myself.
I do a lot of homemade stuff. I do especially, you know, with the carnivore diet and all, you know, because I make my own tallow. I made, you know, when I have my cattle butchered or any of my animals butchered, I always demand any fat that's not used in the burger, give it back to me. I want it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made a big batch of tallow here off of some of these cows.
What do you do with the hide?
I do. I don't keep the hide. I'll let the butcher go ahead and sell that. No. It costs me too much to have it tanned commercially.
Mm-hmm.
I've checked into that. I do have some of like my deer. I can get my deer, and I don't know what the difference is. I can get my deer done cheap. So I will save the deer hides, and I use them in my side business, hair-on deer hides, and so I'll keep those. But the tanneries charge per animal. Like my wife wanted a coon hide, and so I said, okay, next coon I trap, I'll go ahead and skin it out for you. And so I took that to my tannery, and they tanned that thing out, and I got the bill for that thing, and it was like $70. And I'm like, why is this little critter $70 when you do my big deer for 40?
Mhm.
What's the difference? And it's how much they do at one time.
Hmm.
You know, well, they don't do a lot of raccoons, but they do a lot of deer. So it's a, supply and demand type deal, I guess. But I do like today. I made 4 pounds of liverwurst. Because we keep the innards from our animals. So I've got the heart, the liver, the kidneys, and tongue, the whole 9 yards. So today I made 4 pounds of liverwurst. So my wife is very happy. She loves my liverwurst. I make my own yogurt. As far as the carnivore stuff, I make a lot of my stuff. When it comes to, like you say, construction, for me, it boils down to cost versus need. If I need it bad enough and I can't afford it, I'll do it myself. Like I used to do all my own mechanic work. I'm a mechanic, hence all the tools behind me. I was a mechanic for 41 years, aircraft mechanic, and I used to do all my own work on my vehicles. I don't do a lot of it anymore because I just don't want to. I'm beat up. I'm broke. I'm broke down. I just don't want to do it anymore. And
My stuff
hands
is
are
so
shot.
old. My stuff's so old, nobody else can fix it.
I get that. Yeah, I get that. But there are times there are times when I have to do my own stuff. But when I'm in a position where I can hire somebody else to do it, the lazy comes out in me, and I'll do it. It's just like this bathroom remodel. I got to yank out a cast iron tub, and put in a shower. I've done one shower, and that was enough for me. I don't want to do another one.
Why would
So
anybody remodel a bathroom? I can't figure that out.
Well, I'm remodeling the bathroom because I really do not like what the previous owners did with this bathroom. I mean, it's terrible. It's ugly. Okay, they actually had a chandelier in the bathroom.
What'd you buy,
I'm not
Liberace's
kidding.
house?
Yeah, you would think. And I mean, that was the first thing I did was get rid of that chandelier. And they have on the wall outlets, the coverings on the wall outlets. They have diamond encrusted cloth on those.
Right.
They got a shag rug in there too.
Not quite, but the tile is horrible. That tile's coming out. So yeah, I don't know what these people were thinking, but anyways, that's way off carnivore. Yeah, I've experienced the cattle not paying well. I mean, one thing you don't want to look at when you're hunting and when you're raising animals is it's hard to look at the cost of it, because you think, oh yeah, I'm feeding myself, I'm raising my own, or you took your cow to the sale and you got. I remember when $1.50 a pound was, man, I'm walking in tall cotton right now. Boy, I never thought I'd get that high on cattle, but I don't want to look at what it costs to feed that animal. I don't want to look at what the vet bills were. I don't really want to see the bottom end cost of it, because when you do, you find out, yeah, you might have made $1.50 a pound, but how much did you spend to get there? You don't make much. You'll make a little, but you don't make much. And like hunting, fishing, anything like that. Okay, so I do a lot of hunting, I do a lot of fishing, and I guarantee the cost does not make up. Venison is the most expensive meat in the world. You think Wagyu is expensive? No, Wagyu is cheap. Venison is the most expensive meat in the world, because you don't even want to know what we spend to hunt them critters. I mean, it's out of this world.
Going over here to the chat, I wanted to catch up on some of this here. Alexis said, I found out today that blueberries are very high carb compared to other berries. So I don't know that for sure, but I just wanted to say that I would not beat myself up for eating blueberries, So it goes back to that, if you're eating natural food, some blueberries is it's not the end of the world. Okay, like people have been eating blueberries since the dawn of time. Okay, you know, humans were hunter gatherers, so what you could hunt and what you could gather in season, and so I wouldn't count that as a major loss. Nothing to get upset about. I think a blueberry is going to be a lot better than a slice of white bread, you know, or a Twix bar or something like that. So,
Junk food.
you know, yeah, I don't beat yourself up over a blueberry. So, on a keto diet, you know, or on even Dr. Berry's proper human diet, some blueberries and some raspberries and a few nuts or something, all that's acceptable. And so if that's the worst that's going on, boy, that's not bad at all. So, you know, don't worry about that. So if you can stay away from man-made food, anything that also ultra processed, and just eat whatever you could have found as a wild human, you know, 1,000 years ago, you know, you're going to do very well. Or as they say, whatever you could find on the perimeter of the grocery store that's fresh, and stay away from what's in the center. That's also another good philosophy to live by. And then Papa Carnivore, he disappears. He likes to exit silently. So, Linda, hello. Glad to have you here. And I saw this comment here. Where was it? Somewhere Bill said beer was his favorite carb. I thought that was...
Yes, that's all right.
And then Jeff, if you have a good processor, they are worth their cost. According to
I
Brian.
believe so, yeah.
And Noso says he loves hearing your insights about your lifestyle. And Brian
Thank
asks, how long do you age your beef? He prefers 21 days a minimum.
We did on these last ones, we did 14 days.
Okay.
21 is better, I'll admit, but the processors will start charging you more the longer you keep them in the coolers. So they'll give you 14. After that, you're going to have to start paying for it.
Rockin' Coach Amy says, is that beef jerky? Yes, I'm sitting here snacking on some beef jerky. And then Noso asks, is that corn in that jerky? And the answer to that is no. This is the hot and spicy kind. So what you're seeing there is like hot pepper flakes. So it's a hot and spicy beef jerky from Duma's Meats. So, I'm scaling back on my food intake, and that looks good. So, I had I didn't have much of a dinner tonight. My wife brought me home the new Arby's steak bites, which are not clean. I have to say that. And so I was getting hungry. So I figured I'd grab a piece of beef jerky when I ran out of the room. All right.
Yeah,
And
talking of the processing, anybody know of Mike Calicrate? Jeff, do you know about Mike Calicrate? Apparently he took on IBP.
I don't believe so.
Apparently he took on IBP back along. IBP are the main, they've got the dominant on the processing plants or something. He was going to speak at the Rendezvous City Beef Roundup this year alongside Dr. Kiltz. I don't know him myself, but I've done a bit of research on him, and apparently he's very much in favor of the small processing plant, and he's trying to break the monopoly that companies like IBP have on it. So just a name for you, Mike Calicrate. He's one of us.
Those would be the big commercial processors like Swift and some of them. You know, in our neck of the woods, we have a lot of small processors, butcher shops and whatnot. And I've got, where I used to live in Weatherford, I had 5 different processors I could take my animals to anytime I wanted to. And down here in my new area, I haven't identified all of them yet, but I've found 2 or 3 down here that I can take my animals to. I just got to find out which one I like the best. But we have a lot of small processors down here, and we've got butcher shops. Like I just researched one today. We got one about 30 miles from where I live that they're a butcher shop, and they sell all different kinds of meats. But all the beef that they have comes off of their own farm.
Okay. Yeah.
And they guarantee it's all grass fed, grass finished, nothing added to the animals, to the feed or anything like that. I have to assume that they're telling the truth, but I know several butcher shops that they sell only their own beef. Now, when you buy it like that, you're going to pay premium prices.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we got one near us, Court Farm, which is 100% the grass raised, and that is premium prices. Yeah, for sure.
Right. Now, me personally, if I have to buy meat in a store, yeah, I like going to a butcher shop. I can get some really nice ribeyes at a butcher shop, but I don't see a bit of problem with going to Wally World or any of the grocery stores and picking up your meat. Yeah, it's grain finished, but it was raised on grass all its life. It wasn't until the last 3 months that it went on grain. But I don't have an issue with it physically.
Yeah.
For those that have an issue physically, yeah, you got to go with it as pure as you can get. But I'm fortunate; it doesn't bother me a bit, at least none that I can tell. So I don't have a problem with it. And you look at a lot of your influencers; they're eating store-bought, beef, and it's not bothering them. But
No.
yeah, if you're one of those people that has histamine tolerances, or some metabolic issue, where you have to eat pure grain or pure grass finished, pure beef, you have to be on the lion diet. Oh, by all means, do what you have to do for yourself. But some people, guys, don't overthink it. Eat what you can afford to eat.
Yeah, certainly agree.
Amy asks, did anyone experience oxalate dumping in the form of joint pain? So I haven't. I'm not even 100% sure I've experienced oxalate dumping. I may have. There was a while where after about 6 weeks, maybe 2 months into my carnivore diet at the beginning, I had a metallic taste in my mouth and my gums had like sores where the lip meets the jaw, like way down there. And when I would brush my teeth with regular toothpaste, it stung. And I had to switch to like Tom's toothpaste for a while, which didn't have any fluoride in it. I thought I might have become sensitive to the fluoride, but I've since returned to using fluoride toothpaste from time to time, and I'm fine. That eventually went away. But that was a weird symptom that came about 6 to 8 weeks after, and someone said that could have been oxalate dumping. But at the same time, whenever anything odd happens when you change your diet, oxalate dumping seems to be the first bone somebody's going to throw out there. Like, I could levitate out of my chair and bump the ceiling and have trouble getting back down to the ground, and someone would say I was oxalate dumping, So I'm not sure what exactly that was. It may have just been a viral infection, that I had caught at the time. I'm not sure. So, but I haven't had any joint pain, though I have heard of people having joint pain. So I've heard that oxalates can form in, like your kidneys and as far as calcium oxalate crystals go. I've heard that calcium oxalate crystals can form in your joints too. Is it Sally Norton is like the one very
Sally K. Norton,
yeah, she's
brilliant.
She wrote Toxic Superfoods, and she's really, really, really studied oxalates and lays it out, and that would be the resource that I would turn to for someone that was concerned about oxalate dumping. Although oxalate dumping is supposed to be temporary, but the other thing that I've learned is you could be carnivore for 4 years and then start oxalate dumping.
Exactly.
So it doesn't necessarily have to happen immediately either. So that would be an interesting scenario too. 4 years down the road, all of a sudden you're having these weird symptoms, and it's oxalates that are finally dumping after 4 years. So, and I've heard her say that in different interviews, and so that's a book that I have on my Audible library that I haven't listened to yet. That's a subject that I haven't really dived into deeply yet. So I haven't experienced anything odd in the form of oxalates, and I'm surprised. Like I said, I was probably, my diet before carnivore. I'm surprised I never got a kidney stone because of all the oxalates I was eating in the form of spinach and almonds and coffees and teas and all kinds of other beets and all kinds of other stuff. I mean, you might as well have just hooked an IV bag up to me full of oxalates and pumped it right into my veins. That's how bad it was, So she
if I
continued.
had any oxalate dumping in my joints, I wouldn't know it because my joints hurt so bad anyways. That I think my natural pain just would mask any of it.
She continues. I'm 90 days in and my knees and back are killing me, mostly my knees, and I've never had knee problems. So I'm a tile setter, so I have knee problems. But since I've been carnivore, actually my knee problems have mostly subsided. And probably because I took off 60 pounds. So that's a lot less weight on my knees when I'm setting tile.
Well, I got to admit, Bob, my knees were real tender for a long time, and it was something that I didn't really pay attention to, but I've noticed that I can get down on my knees and work on my knees with less pain than I have in the last 10 years or so. I never even really attributed so much to carnivore, but it was I just figured it was because I was more flexible because of carnivore. But yeah, my knees don't hurt like they used to.
Back in 2010, I thought my career was over. I'd been in business for about 5 years, in the trade for about 9. And I would have my helper, Matt, who's still with me, by the way. He has an installer now. He would show up about 9 o'clock, pull the previous day's spacers, set the saw up, mix the mud. I'd roll in about 10 o'clock, strap on my knee pads, get down on my knees, and they killed me. I could tile till about 2, and then they'd just be red and swollen, and he'd have to help me up, or I'd have to pull myself up on a counter. I'd hobble out to my van and go home, and he'd break down the saw and clean up for the rest of the, put everything away for the day. And I'd go home, and my kids, they were little then, and they were like, "Oh, Dad's home. I want to jump on the trampoline." And I'm like, "Oh my God, I just want to drink beer and sit in my recliner because my knees hurt so bad." And so I heard of this product called Pro Knees, and they're like $300 knee pads. And I remember bringing them up to the guy that taught me the trade years before, and I was learning from him, and his comment was like, "I ain't paying $300 for any knee pads." So we just get like the $30 knee pads at Home Depot. And so that was kind of my attitude also, because I learned from him. So then I'm like, I ain't paying $300 for knee pads. Yeah. So I ended up dropping the $300 on knee pads because I thought this was my last hope. I had no insurance, so I couldn't afford like knee replacement surgery or anything. And over the next couple months, my knees got back to where I could be with these knee pads. I could be down for 10, 12 hours again. They were a career saver, a lifesaver. Yeah. But for the longest time, if I didn't have them on me, if I made the mistake of getting down on my knees, even for 1 second, they would flare back up again, and then I would be limping, pinching a nerve for a couple days till the swelling went down. But since I've been on my carnivore diet and I've lost the weight, I don't have that problem. I can get down without my knee pads and do a few things for a few minutes and get up, and I don't have any repercussions about it. So that's probably something else I could chalk up on my list of benefits of the carnivore diet, because, and again, that's not, it could be healing from the adequate nutrition, but I also think it's from losing that weight. That's 60 pounds less that's on my knees. So it's another benefit. When I went to Healing Humanity, we went out to a Starbucks afterwards with a group of people, and I was talking to this gentleman I met there who was there for he's been carnivore for a while, and he had a printed list of everything that he's reversed, improved, or corrected. and he had on there, and I never thought of this, but I could say this of me too, but I wouldn't have thought of it until I saw it on his list. He said on his list he has no longer produces excessive earwax.
Yeah, I've heard
And
that.
I thought, you know what? Yeah, that's true. Because I used to, in the summer times when it was hot, I used to get so much earwax that it would plug up my ears, like I had earplugs in and I couldn't hear clearly. Everything would be muffled. And you try and do the Q-tip thing, you end up pushing it further in. So I had to get these ear candles, paper plate, put a hole through it, get the ear candle, light the ear candle, and try and heat the wax and suck it up. And use these cleaning solutions and stuff. And I haven't had to do that for the last 2 years. And I just thought about that. Like, that's another thing that, like, I can put on my list I took for granted. And I would have never thought of it if I didn't see it on this other guy's list as one of his,
exactly. And we do
carnivore
pick up from each other.
non-scale victories. He doesn't produce earwax anymore. So I thought that was interesting. Have you noticed any changes in your earwax?
Yeah. Anyway,
now that
guys, it's getting very late over here. I'm going to bail, Bob, because I am getting very tired now. It is 3:30 in the morning here. So I'm going to say good night to everybody. Thank you very much for having me again, and I will see you next week. I've no doubt.
All right.
Good night, George.
Yeah, so that's it. Okay, I'm going to say good night. Cheers, folks. Bye.
All right. Good night, George. All right. Yeah. And let's see here. I'm looking at. Let's see. Grass finished is closer to how they were 300 years ago before man ranchers started to make them fatter for more money. Yeah. Yeah.
That is very true. He also made a comment. Grass finished is less fat. He's absolutely right on that. In fact, something interesting about that. So, 2 nights ago, I pan fried one of the a couple of ribeyes from these cattle, and then yesterday I smoked a couple of ribeyes, and they were delicious. And my son-in-law, he just butchered a steer, but his are grain finished. He's got a guy he buys his from, and then just goes straight to the processor. And he doesn't raise his. He did, but he's not right now. So once a year he'll go pick a steer out, and they take it to the butcher. So anyhow, he says, "Hey, I want to do an experiment. Let's swap some ribeyes. I want to check out your ribeyes versus my ribeyes." And he says, "What do you think about them?" I said, "Well, here's the deal." I says, "Mine have less fat, but they're still well marbled, but they do have less fat. But what they have is a flavor. My flavor, great. Well, let me put it this way: grain finished, the flavor comes from the excess fat that's in it, from being grain finished. The flavor my cattle have is coming from the meat, not from the fat. There's a flavor to the meat from being grain finished, or I mean grass finished. And I've heard people say that they don't like grass finished beef because it's gamey.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even in my game meat, I don't have gamey meat. It don't taste gamey to me. To me, it's flavor. And what it is when people eat something that's it's the same thing, but it's different, than what they're used to, then they consider it gamey. They don't understand. No, it's flavor is what it is. You're getting the true taste of the meat. And when he talks about how they were 300 years ago, yeah, exactly. And now you don't even have to go 300 years ago. You can go back 100 years ago, 150 years ago. The meat tastes better to me that way. I like the flavor from the meat, not from the fat so much. So he makes a good point on that. In fact, we got buffalo that we're raising, bison, and we haven't decided when we're going to butcher them yet. I'm going to have to do some serious eating on this beef, get some of these freezers cleared out before I butcher out a bison. But that's going to be, now they're all grass finished, and I love bison. It's a wonderful, wonderful meat, but it is going to be a lot leaner, than what you're going to get, on most store bought. So I'm looking forward to it, but I gotta clear some meat out of these freezers first. Yeah, that'll buy another freezer.
We just got a garage ready fridge, and because we had a new fridge for the kitchen. We've put our previous kitchen fridge out in the garage, and after a couple winters, we're like killing it. We had a chest freezer, and it went bad, and we lost a bunch of meat new in the garage. And I didn't realize that there was a such thing as garage ready freezers and garage ready refrigerators. So that you need to use up here in the cold. So now I got more freezer space, and I might do that. This Duma's here. This is interesting how the cost of beef has gone up, because this used to be $3.99 a pound just a year ago. But you can get the sides of beef here, $4.79 a pound. And then you can get the side of grass-fed beef for $4.99 a pound. And that's just your average weight is 300 to 400 pounds.
When you factor in some cuts you can buy in the store for half that price, but some cuts you buy in the store are 3 times that price.
Yeah, so these, the
so it all averages out. That's not bad.
Anything sirloin and up, it's going to be a minimum of $10 a pound at the grocery store.
Yeah.
And
like I said, my total cost, those prices ain't bad when you figure my total cost of raising mine, was $3 a pound. So that's not terribly bad.
Yeah, ground beef. I can get ground beef for about $4.79 a pound. So, in fact, it might be a little over $5 now. So if you can get it on sale for $4 something, but yeah. So I mean, I think everything that they list here is going to be more than $4.79 a pound. So
yeah.
So that's half a cow. But I need a chest freezer for that. I don't have that kind of space.
I've got 2 of them. One of my chest freezers is the biggest you can get. I forget what size that is, 24 cubic feet or whatever. I'm not sure. And then I've got I just bought a 16-foot cubic because my other 16-foot decided to quit on me when we moved. Got it down here, plugged it in, and we knocked something loose in the coils or something, and it's plugged up and it's not wanting to charge. So we had to ditch that and buy a new one. And then I got a stand up in the house. I'm not sure what size that is. But I've got 3 freezers.
All right. Well, here's our last few comments, and let's wrap this up. I thought this was interesting here. So, Rockin' Coach Amy mentions that she has the earwax problem too, and hopefully that'll clear up. But here's a couple intriguing comments. She mentions the back and knee pain, and then she says, "I'm 90 days in, and my knees and back are killing me. Mostly my knees, but I've never had knee problems." And she says, "I've gained 25 pounds on carnivore, but I think this pain is temporary." So
I see a correlation.
Yeah, that's, and like I said, I think that my knee and back pain, part of what helps it subsided was the loss of weight. And so you've got the opposite issue going on. Perhaps, perhaps they could be correlated. So, it wouldn't be out of the realm of reasonableness to think that they are related. But to have gained 25 pounds is a bit unusual. Like, the only person I've ever heard that gained weight initially was Kelly Hogan. And I don't even know the details of how much that she gained. So,
I've heard of several women gaining weight in the beginning, and I don't remember how long Amy's been carnivore, but
90 days, she said.
90 days.
Yeah, and she was keto before that.
And that's quite a bit of weight in 90 days, in my opinion. But, I've come across a lot of people on the forums and whatnot that talk about how they've gained weight. It's normally always women. And I always refer them back to Kelly, you know, in her story, because she gained weight for 6 months, you know, but she wasn't in it for the weight. She was in it for the healing. And as long as she was healing, she was going to forge on. So, you know, kudos to her for that, for not giving up. People that get into it for weight loss and they start gaining weight, they get discouraged and they quit. But I believe it's bound to be, because it's a woman thing for the most part. I believe it's got to be a hormonal thing with them. And sometimes it seems like that they have to, they gain weight while their body is healing. So I don't have a good explanation for it, but that's the only thing I can figure on it.
Yeah, and she says, I lost 110 pounds on ketovore, and the increased fat is making me gain 8 years strict keto. So, you know, I know there's a lot. If you get into certain carnivore circles, they really push this, like, it's all the fat. It's all the fat. You want to eat fat, 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 fat. So yes, fat is your energy, but, you know, ancestrally speaking, we were talking about the cows. Okay. Like, you know, and, who's the other guy in here? Let me scroll up. Brian. Yeah. Brian was talking about that, like, you know, 300 years ago, you know, cows weren't as fatty, you know, and people were eating cows all the time. And it wasn't until, you know, the 1900s that they started, you know, feeding them grains and fattening them up so they could make more per pound. And of course, the fat does taste better and stuff like that too. So, you know, there are keto doctors like Dr. Kiltz, you know, it's all about the fat. It's all about the fat. Eat lots of fat, you know, and he'll even have videos of him just like eating raw fat, you know, not even the muscle meat, just the fat. The fat's the important part. There is some importance to fat, but not that much fat. And then on the other hand, you've got people like Dr. Chafee that's just, you know, hey, just eat meat and eat till you're comfortably full, and, you know, don't worry about adding lots of fat to it. So Dr. Chafee will say, don't smother this thing in fat. They got other doctors will say, smother this thing in fat. So I kind of lean towards don't smother something in fat. So and I'll give you an example. When I did my first year of carnivore dieting, my first 6 months, I lost my 60 pounds in the first 6 months. Now, I did intentionally stop my weight loss because of my triglyceride issue, but with that aside, I started my carnivore diet in May of 2023 when I broke my ankle. For the next 6 months, the weather was great, and I utilized my grill. Okay, so I grilled my New York strips. That's my favorite cut. And so it's not even as fatty as a ribeye. But as you grill it, that fat renders and drips down. Okay. And so, yeah, so then I would have my New York strip, and I might occasionally put a little butter on it, but not usually. Okay. And that's what I ate, and I lost all kinds of weight. And then when winter came and I wanted to stall my weight loss, then I started cooking inside in a cast iron skillet. And then I started listening to more of the doctors that talked about don't throw away your rendered fat. Don't dump out your fat. You know, don't drain your meat, things like that. So I started eating all the fat, and I haven't gained weight, but I haven't lost any weight either. And so I honestly think that if I go back to the grill, and I actually didn't use my grill much at all this summer. I've got so used to cooking on the cast iron pan, that became my preferred method. If you're going to town on the fat, I would say go ahead and back off. That would be my advice. Is, you know, you can do carnivore, but you don't have to smother everything in butter. You don't have to eat fat. You know, you don't have to like scoops of tallow or butter bites or anything like that. You know, because an ancestral human wouldn't have done any of that. An ancestral human would have just went and hunted, ate the meat. You know, and so that's what I think. You know, don't overdo the fat. That would be my advice. So,
well, it boils down to an individual thing. We're all different with different physiologies. You know, some people thrive on an 80% to 20% fat to protein ratio. Others do better on 70-30. I did great on 70-30. And then there's some that have to knock it down to 60-40. everybody is different, and what works for one doesn't necessarily work for another. And I've got some examples of that. With what Dr. Chafee teaches doesn't work for me. Now, I thrive on high fat. I have no problem maintaining, losing, whatever on high fat. In fact, I have to add dairy to my diet now to keep from getting too lean, keep from getting too low on the scale.
Stop from so you don't lose too much weight.
Yeah. Because I'm 6 foot tall. I'm 160 pounds, and I'm as light as I need to go. I'm at the very bottom scale for my size, and so I'm doing just fine. So I'm adding dairy now. I OD'd on dairy today. We'll see what that does on the scale. But yeah, I had a dairy full day. But the point of the matter is, we're all different, and so if Amy may be one of these ones that needs less fat. Me, I thrive on more fat. So you've got to regulate everything to what works best for you. And maybe you need to back off fat a little bit. Try that for a while and see what happens.
Yeah. And so she makes some comments about, let's see here, about satiation. I'm hungry 20 minutes after I eat a huge meal of meat and eggs. Yeah, I was just wondering if you were incorporating any kind of intermittent fasting. When I had the most success, I was eating at noon and again at 7. And then I would eat till I was comfortably stuffed. I could do, if it was eggs alone, I could do 8 to 10 eggs. If it was some breakfast meat, it'd be 4 eggs, 4 sausage patties. And then dinner would be a 16-ounce New York strip. And that was my meal. And they probably clocked in around 18 to 2,000 calories, honestly, and I was probably burning more than that. Plus I was intermittent fasting. So I was giving my body a chance to burn on that, to burn that as well. But see, when I ate that many eggs, I wouldn't even be hungry again for 8 hours, that's what I meant. I'd eat to the point of satisfaction. And for me, if I don't eat to the point of satisfaction, if I wait 20 minutes, that gives my body enough time to send satiety signals to my brain. And then the hunger feeling goes away. So that's usually the way that I respond, and usually the way that most people respond. So if you're not responding to satiety signals, that could also be a hormonal thing. And,
well, it is a hormonal thing.
Yeah.
Signals are hormonal.
It's a hormone. It's a hormone that tells your brain you're full. Okay. And so it is a hormonal thing. Yeah, that's correct. So if you eat a fair size meal, say 1,000 calorie meal, and I just use calories using it to gauge how much food you're eating. For me, wait 20 minutes and you'll feel full. And if you don't, then I would try and distract yourself. You might need to take longer. So, but yeah, if you eat and eat, and you never feel full, then something's broken.
Yeah.
And so then you're going to need to maybe plan around it. And so those general rules about eating until you're comfortably stuffed, if that's not working for you, then.
So I would question, is it really hunger or is it a craving? Because there's a difference.
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, because I can be so like I'll eat a big breakfast, skip lunch, I'll come home from work, and my wife isn't going to come home for a few more hours yet. And I come home and I'm just kind of like sitting around doing nothing. I might grab some beef jerky and start eating it because I'm bored.
Right.
That's why I
and I get that way myself.
But if I was honest with myself, I'm not really hungry. I'm just like, well, I haven't eaten in 6 hours, so I might as well nibble on something because I still have 3 hours to go till I see my wife home and we talk about dinner.
Yeah, there's times when like I can knock out a big meal and not too much later, or maybe in a couple of hours later, I feel like I want to eat again, but I'm not hungry. And I'll even tell myself, you're not hungry. Why are you wanting to eat? I just want to eat. It's habit. It's the glutton in me that wants to put more food in. And so when I have those moments, go and get busy with something, because this is a craving. It's not a true hunger. I've been known to go eat some butter, whatever, to help me get over it. But really, I find the best thing is just go get busy doing something.
Yeah. Brian says dry fasting is the best way to help reset. There's some truth of there. You know, you can try and do a 24-hour fast for one day, and then when you resume eating, or do an intermittent fasting schedule. Foxy Joe says, I love dairy, but man, I gain weight with it. So, and then Amy says, again, I ate almost 4,000 calories in one day and was still hungry. And so, yeah, so if you ate 4,000 calories a day, you know, yeah, I think you're going to gain weight, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, when we say calories don't matter, that's in the context of trust your society. That means don't obsess over them. But, you know, if you're overeating is overeating, no matter what you're overeating, you know? And, so like last night I had, so 2 nights ago, so I've gained weight for the last 2 days. All right. So 2 nights ago we had our steelhead trout, which is a fatty fish that we like. So when we were at Sam's Club, my wife, she bought this 3-pound fish. Okay. We cooked this thing up, and my wife, she doesn't have a big appetite. She just pecks at food. So we cook up this big slab side of fish, and she like cuts a quarter of it off, and that's her dinner. And then, so I eat the rest of it, like the entire thing. And, cause it's really tasty. And so it's fish. It's a fatty fish, but it's still leaner than like beef and everything. So like the next morning I'm a couple pounds up, which I expect when I eat something leaner than red meat. And I ate a lot. I probably ate 2 pounds of fish. And then last night we had taco night. So I had egg life wraps, ground beef, seasoned. I did sour cream and cheese. And, you know, I made a pound of beef. My wife makes like 2 tacos out of it using low carb wraps. I use the egg life wraps. I make 4 incredibly stuffed tacos because I don't want leftover meat, you know. So I just use up all the meat in the pan. I ate that. I way over ate. I was way full. This morning I'm another pound up. So today I've hardly been hungry at all. So like I didn't even eat till noon. And then when I came home, I had some beef jerky. Then my wife brought the steak bites, and I just had some more beef jerky, and that was probably going to be it. I don't know if I'll snack on anything else tonight or not. But over the last 2 days, I ate a lot and I gained weight. So like overeating is a thing, even when you're eating right.
Mm-hmm.
And I consider myself eating right the last 2 days. And, but I'll probably reset today. And like, if I take a couple days where I just eat, you know, if I just have my eggs for brunch and my steak for dinner, you know, give myself a day or 2, and the pounds that I gained in the last 2 days are going to be gone, and I'm going to be right back to where I average. So 4,000 calories. Yeah, you're gonna see that on the scale the next morning. So for sure. Rick never gets hungry. I have salt rocks. I think perimenopause is messing me. So there's something that could be affecting hormones.
Yep. There you
Right
go.
there. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, hormones. I don't know if you've ever had like a thyroid panel checked or something. You know, Dr. Barry's really, really good for this. You're taking his PhD course. You probably talk to him even more. Like, you know, whenever I encountered obstacles that I couldn't make sense of, I would talk to him on his Zoom calls on Wednesday nights, because that's the tier that I paid for. And he would be very helpful. So, and those are just some of the things that come to my mind based on my studies and my experience. So, hopefully some of that, is information that you can use. But with Dr. Barry, if it's a hormone thing, he'll tell you to go get a whole panel and check all these sex hormones and thyroid hormones and stuff like that. And if you need like hormone replacements, or if you need certain medications, he's not afraid. He's not afraid to say that's what you need, and even if it's just temporary, he's not afraid to say that. So because he's a doctor and he's not anti-medicine, so might be worth talking to him about. So I trust Dr. Barry, with my life, honestly. So I'm definitely a disciple of his. So, and his philosophies. Rick never snacks. And you keep yourself busy so you don't. I just need one of Jeff Cow's all to myself. How much you eat yesterday? About 1,000 pounds. You think it was too much? So let's talk about that saying, you're so hungry you could eat a cow. Oh, let's see here. I used to snack when I get caught up on what I have going on. I only snack when I get caught up on what I have going on.
It's a boredom snack.
Yeah, so like if I eat breakfast at breakfast time, then I might snack at lunchtime. Like I don't want anything big. Like I won't stop it. I won't pack a lunch. I might just get a little beef jerky or something. But if I skip breakfast, then I'll go ahead and have an actual lunch somewhere. So whether I pack it or whether I just get some like beef patties at McDonald's or something like that. So I used to eat a dozen eggs a day with 6 pounds of meat. Woo! That's a lot. So I can only eat about 1.5 pounds of red meat at any given time. I can hardly push the 2 pound mark. I could eat a dozen eggs though. I could do that. I've intentionally not snacking, eating at noon at 5. I've reined everything in. Okay, yeah, very good. I think that's a nice eating window, by the way. Within a 5-hour eating window. That's good. So, and you work out too, or at least you make videos of you working out. So, that's inspiring. I got my treadmill upstairs. I don't know if I told anybody that, but we actually cleaned the hallway here, cleaned this room, and I got my treadmill up here, and it's actually usable now. I've had that thing for over a year. Some of you guys can remember when I bought it. I'm like, oh yeah, I bought a used treadmill. It's in the garage. That was over a year ago. I finally got it inside. 2 pounds of meat is a meal for me. Yeah, I can almost get there. So anyway, it's 11 o'clock. So I'm done.
Same.
We've been at this for 3 hours.
Yeah, I generally only do 2 hours, but this conversation was too good.
Yeah. So I appreciate everybody that's still here. We got one over on Facebook and the rest here on YouTube. Good night, Amy. It's nice talking to you. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Again, you can visit us through the week over on carnivoretalk.com. If you're interested in telling your story in the form of an interview, I'm going to be starting those up. Please reach out to me, and we will set up a time that is convenient for you, a time and a format that is convenient for you. And then outside of that, we will see you next Monday. I'll come up with another funny theme and a funny theme and a funny thumbnail, and we'll do it all again. Okay. So good night, everybody. See you later.
Good night.